to a spooky podcast for you. 3, 4, lots of blood and gore. 5, 6, Freddy's goofy tricks. 7, 8, another deadly fate. 9, 10, never podcast again.
Hello, everybody,
Hello, everybody.
and welcome to the Macabre Podcast universe.
The podcast that exists to prove people wrong when they say,
Sequels are never better than the originals.
so clean, so good.
So clean, so good.
Another edition of Jordan's Sick.
Another sick
voice.
edition. Not COVID this time, though, so you're not.
No.
You feel a little better.
Just a cold.
And you're on the end of it. I bet
Yes.
our next episode you won't sound bad.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Today we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Or as the title in the movie dubs it, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Part 2.
Oh,
which
yeah.
seems so dramatic to me.
Freddy's Revenge. What revenge does Freddy get?
I'm not sure.
Remains open to a discussion.
But we decided to have two of our friends on, Trevin and Alyssia Alger. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Howdy, howdy.
And the reason, if I can, set the table here a little bit, my favorite phrase, Trevin and I used to work at the trampoline park. So, and Mike Combs, Trevin. He listens all the time. So,
Hi, Mike.
and so we would talk about movies all the time. So much so that we hardly watched the children and kept them safe when we were working.
Oh yeah, there was very little working going on. We just kind of wander in each other's area and start having a conversation about what we were watching that week.
There would be times when I feel like Micah would be texting you or something, and I think maybe you were even in Korea or something. I'm like, well, how's he doing? And he's like, oh, I don't know. We're talking about movies. I'm like, I wanted to see, like, how's he doing?
I've gotten a little bit better, but I
yeah.
still think that when we text, it's like, oh yeah, let's talk about this movie we just saw. Let's break it all down. And
It doesn't matter what life events are going on, but what if you watch this?
Yes, yeah.
Like, that's,
Which is
honestly,
great. That's
yeah.
great.
And hey, I mean, our friendship has lasted longer than many of my friends. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you kind of need those, that connective tissue for a friendship. Like if you're just friends because you are around each other, that's one thing. But if you're friends because you click on an area, that's something totally different.
Yeah.
That's why it sticks.
Yep.
So
Totally.
when you got back from all the military stuff and like living in different states and countries and all that, you were like, hey, let's hang out. And we said, hey, we just watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Do you think you and Alyssia would want to come over and watch Nightmare 2? Which was a movie I think none of us had seen, right?
No.
No?
No, we were all new on
It's
that.
new for all of us.
Had you guys seen the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
I
believe
think
so.
we rewatched it right beforehand,
Yeah.
but I think we'd seen it once before, maybe the previous Halloween. We usually try to save our horror, or by we, I mean I force her to save the horror for one time of the year because it would be Halloween all year round if it was up to
Yes,
Alyssia.
Very
same,
true.
Same in our household.
I love it. I love it too much, and I get too excited.
Yeah.
It's not even fall yet, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
I make
I'm all
up
in.
silly rules, and I'm like, but if we watch all the good horror the rest of the year, then what are we going to watch in October? We got a
exactly.
stockpile.
Exactly.
Good point.
This is a very similar dynamic. I think, where I'm like, ooh, wouldn't it be fun to make all these rules for what we're gonna watch this month? And you're
I'm
like,
like, no, I'm just going to watch Sweeney Todd while I'm working for the
like I
100th
just
time
want to
'cause
watch a
it's
movie tonight.
October 1st.
That is
And I'm
so
like, but
funny.
it's not on the list of movies that I am.
Yeah.
Exactly the same dynamic over here. Alyssia's like, can we just rewatch something we love? And I'm like, I need to get through at least 30 brand new movies to me so that I can widen my scope.
Yep.
Yep.
I know.
I feel it.
Yeah. I go back and forth. I'm like, I just really want my comfort movies,
Yeah.
but I do want to watch something new. I do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've got a weird we're gonna call it a medical condition. No, it's not. It's not a medical condition. It's just some weird neurosis where I can't like not watch a movie. Like you put a movie on, Alyssia will put a comfort movie on and then walk
Yeah.
around the house, and I walk past the TV and I'm like, oh man, this movie again. We watch this all the time, and I'm like, not gonna watch it. And then
And then
I'll
you're
walk
sitting
by
there,
the TV and there's just like a slow magnetism. Like I can't get away from the gravity of the TV. Like that's a movie, and I have to fully invest myself in the movie, even if I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm just required.
Eyes
It's
are
the
glued
rules.
to the TV.
Yeah, like I can't get away. If she watches a movie in the bedroom and I've decided I don't want to watch it, I'll have to like close the door just because hearing it makes me want to engage with it. I start thinking about it, and so I get dragged in there. And
Yeah.
like, I don't want to watch this stupid movie. Why am I here?
Maybe it is a medical condition.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten better at that. The one thing that's kind of wild to me is I now can turn movies off when I really don't like them, which is something I really couldn't do a few years ago.
Yeah.
It would
Flip-flop.
have to just be like so offensive to me that I had to turn it off. I would never do it out of quality because it's like I started it, I got to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can actually do that, and I feel like that's growth.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Discipline.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But you guys came over and we watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
We certainly
And
did.
we were yucking it up and laughing because this movie is absolutely insane.
Mhm.
It is.
It's one of the more insane movies I've seen.
Mhm.
And it is, I think a lot of people would probably cite this as against what our motto of the podcast is a sequel can never be better than the original because this is so insane.
Yeah.
But as you and I have said in last week's episode, there is something about this Freddy Krueger guy where as long as we see really cool prosthetics and insane effects, I kind of think it's like at least a 7 out of 10 movie because it's
Yeah.
like, well, I saw some of the craziest. I saw Freddy burst out of another man, and I have not seen that before.
Yup.
7 out of 10.
Oh
Yeah.
man, and
Like-
I love the way he discards the old body in it. Like
Yes.
you can see that he's wearing the prosthetic
Oh,
of what
God.
was the character,
Yeah.
and then he just kind of stands up and shrugs it off like it's a cape.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yes.
I
He's
love
like,
it.
goodbye to these head and shoulders.
Yeah. It is some of the best body horror, honestly,
It is.
in that movie. Like,
It's
Yeah.
insane.
my favorite, and it's just disgusting.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The maggots showing through and all that jazz.
Oh yeah. So what is your? Can I ask what your history with Nightmare is to both of you?
Well, my first introduction was in middle school. I had a very strange, what's the word? Like I don't know, just like a horror phase.
Mhm.
And I just watched not even good movies, honestly. Just like random. This was when Blockbuster was still around.
Oh,
I
the
would
good
just
old days.
yes, I would go to Blockbuster with my grandma all the time, and yeah, I would just go straight to the horror section, pick out some weird movie I've never even heard of, not even good in particular. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street obviously was a big one, so I had to watch all of the the ones that everyone's heard of.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I watched the original, loved it from the very beginning, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
Nice.
I mean, did you watch any of the others in
No,
the
nope.
series?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
just
you
the
just
first one.
had like the pure vision
Mhm.
of the first movie.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, and then what is your Nightmare history?
I've got very little nightmare history. So I think my first knowledge of the character was probably middle school.
Mhm.
Kids in middle school. I was learning about the social arena during that time. And when kids started to talk about, what was cool, what they were watching, I was always like, wait, what is that? I've never even heard of this thing before. And I think Freddy versus
Jason.
Jason
yeah.
was happening in that time period.
okay.
Alien versus Predator, that era.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Which
I was
is
like,
a strange era
Very
in,
weird.
Definitely.
in
Very
movie
weird.
history.
really weird. But
Is
yeah.
there any like third ones of that sort of thing,
Um,
or is it just those two that did the weird crossover?
Did Michael do anything? Michael Meyer?
I don't think
remember.
he did.
Okay.
I mean, but there's also the weird like the next phase, which of course we're going to talk about both of these phases on the podcast later in this series, but where they're like, hey, now we need to remake classic horror movies.
Yeah.
Which was a
Oh.
weird phase too, and I don't think any of those remakes are well beloved.
Yeah.
Although I do think there are some Rob Zombie Halloween fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I haven't seen those.
Hmm.
So anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Very odd. But yeah, I heard about the character and I saw the poster, but my mom was very anti-horror.
Yeah.
You don't watch horror. It's not okay. And my dad was kind of the opposite of that. He was kind of he was odd with horror because he would like force me to watch horror, and I'd be like, "No, my mom doesn't want me to see this," and he'd be like, "Shut up, sit down, watch the movie." And I'd be like, "But Dad, I'm scared." And I remember when I was younger, I used to straight up like close my eyes in protest, and he'd be like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" And so my growing up with horror was kind of odd because I was so against it because on one side, my dad was like forcing me to watch horror because he's like, "You need to learn, stop being such a scaredy cat." And I was
Yeah.
like, "No." And then my mom was like, "Don't watch horror movies."
Yeah.
And so I didn't watch almost any except for the random ones my dad would just throw on because he wanted to watch them. So I don't think I saw any of the standard slashers or like the iconic horror movies until I decided that I needed to see all the movies. And that was, late into high school. And I don't think I watched Nightmare on Elm Street at all until I was probably in my 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it when
Yeah.
we were in
Yeah.
El Paso?
Could have been. Yeah, it probably was.
Probably rented it from the library.
Yeah, probably did rent it from the library. I think that would have been Arizona. That's when I was riding my bike to the library and grabbing everything.
Do you remember that library we went to all the time in
We're
Texas?
like the
We'd bring
same
home some movies.
person. Riding our bikes to the library to
Yes.
get movies. This is a
Well,
little
yeah,
freaky.
I was also pillaging the audiobook section. I had
Yeah.
my computer, and I just check out 8 audiobooks at a time, and
just
then
rip 'em.
download them all.
Yeah.
And then bring them back. And the ladies there who were checking them out to me were always like, "What is going on with this kid? Like, just bringing in his backpack, stuffing it full of as many things he can get, and then bringing them back like 6 days later. Like, they must have thought I was a crazy person.
Yeah.
Like, it was straight up like just a
They have
full
to.
backpack.
They have to know. Librarians have
Yeah,
to know that
yeah.
people do that, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure that anybody else was doing it in that area.
We've
It was,
done it with
Yeah.
audiobooks.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
like really long Stephen King books when we're gonna
Oh.
have like really long road trips. It's like, oh, put burn 11/22/63 on your
Yeah.
your computer.
Yeah.
That's so cool that you can do that.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, the
convenient.
library rules. You pay your
Yes,
Definitely.
taxes, you can go to the library and get your stuff.
That's so
Underused.
true. I never
That's
even
how
thought
it
about
works.
that. That's actually really cool.
I heard someone else say the tax thing because sometimes it's like this feels like the craziest scam. I'm just watching free movies and like listening to audiobooks and stuff. This kind of feels like stealing. And then someone mentioned, oh, it was in the Amazing Spider-Man 900. They mentioned that
really?
you pay your taxes so you can check out comics and all that stuff from the library.
That's so
Oh,
funny.
yeah, totally. I do remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, I do pay my taxes. Yeah, this is fine.
I deserve this.
Yeah. So yeah, I've always advocated for it amongst my friends, and they're always like, dude, just like rent it on YouTube or whatever. And I'm like, if you watch as many movies as I did, and you would like to watch them legally, this would be thousands of dollars that I have
Yeah.
spent.
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
All hobbies
Even
are, I
renting
guess.
them for $4 a pop or whatever on YouTube, it's like that would be thousands of movies.
Yeah.
Maybe not thousands, but hundreds.
A lot.
Oh,
So-
definitely.
But anyway, so we're talking Nightmare 2.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's pretty wild. So I want to get into the production of it. So there was never an intent to make this a franchise. If we recall, New Line Cinema and Robert Shea like pushed this movie forward, and it did well. And then they were kind of like, we have our first bona fide hit. What are we going to do about it? And the weekend of the first movie, distribution called Robert Shea and said, we need a sequel. So right off the bat, they're like, let's go. And they write a first draft of the movie. The guy, what is his name? David Chaskin. He writes a draft for the movie, and Wes Craven looks at it, and he has a ton of notes and is like, this is terrible. And they basically look at the notes, and they're like, that's great that you have some opinions, Wes, but we'll kindly take this forward and move on.
Whoa.
So they don't even offer him the directing job.
Whoa.
He doesn't
Wow.
go on to do this movie.
He doesn't even co-write on it. He's just the
No.
producer, right?
Just characters. And I think he does get a producer
Yeah, he gets
credit.
a little title on the producer line, but
Yeah, but he has like no involvement in this movie. And like right off the bat, so the writer said that he didn't really have a particular like love of the first movie, so he just like wrote a movie in the world. I mean, they didn't even talk to Heather Langenkamp to return as Nancy, which seems like the thing you would do
Yeah.
if you were doing like a standard sequel. And he's just like, I'm just gonna write this story. And when he's writing it, at the time, this is like post-AIDS crisis.
Okay.
And people are out and proud. And he's like, I'm going to put all this subtext in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lead actor of the movie at the time was closeted, but
Oh,
he's
wow.
gay. And he, of course, now he's like out and proud, but at the time he was not. And so they start working on this movie, and it's just hilarious. I would encourage anyone who has a fascination with this movie to watch this. There's a like 4-hour documentary that covers all of the Nightmare movies.
Yeah.
And if you skip to the second one, it's called Never Sleep Again. If you get to the second one, the director, Jack Shoulders, or Jack, is it Shoulders or Jack Shoulder?
I think it's just shoulder.
Shoulder. He is like, I don't know how I missed it, but I had no idea that this movie it has like
get
so much gay subtext in it.
A
For
man
sure.
is being spanked bare ass in a shower.
And I remember when, because I hear this kind of reading, like you'll be scrolling through Twitter or see Letterboxd, and people will take some movie that I just watched and they'll be like, wow, this is really like a portrait of a gay person, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I never pick up on that sort of stuff unless it's very obvious. And me, when I finished Nightmare 2, I was like, oh, this is a movie about being a closeted gay person. Like, easy, 100% me, who never picks up on that stuff and can never, like, figure that part of, like, movie making out right off the bat. I was like, yep, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's super funny too because they like right off the bat they're instead of sexualizing the female leads, they're doing it to the guys. You know, you're on the baseball field, they're checking them out. They're like, "Damn,
Oh
look at
my
him."
gosh.
And,
That's
and
so
then
funny.
you know, the guy gets hit in the head because he's looking at the girls, and then the friend later on comes around and they get
pulls
they
his
get in a
pants
little- they get in a little tiff.
was a bold
The first thing he
move.
does is pull the pants down, and they wrestle on the ground with one guy just trying to pull his pants up the half the time.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to the girls, and the girls are like, "Damn, that's a nice ass." Like they're just loving it. Like the guys are the sexy pieces of meat in this one,
Yeah,
which
right.
I was loving
It's
it.
sort of like, weirdly, this movie is like way ahead of its time.
For
I
sure.
guess.
Definitely.
Honestly.
Because I don't know, when you watch it now, it's like I feel like people would be impressed by this movie now
Yeah.
if it came out. Then they'd make a big hubbub about the whole thing and how interesting it was that they went that route. And it's like, no, they did this in 1985. Like,
Back then it was just wacky, but today it'd be a
yeah.
statement.
Yeah.
Totally.
but yeah, so Robert. What's Freddy's name? England.
Robert Englund.
Robert
Englund?
England.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Robert England's agent was asking for a lot more money. He was wising up. He could see the future of what this was going to be. And so they started filming the movie, and they had an extra as Freddy.
Whoa.
And while they were filming it, the extra was, in the words of the director, walking like Frankenstein. And and he went to Bob Shea, and he said, this is terrible. You have to figure out how to get England here, because if you don't, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they bring him on.
Awesome.
And that was totally necessary because he carries himself so well.
He
when
does.
he
Yeah.
slides onto the frame, you can feel it. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel right without
Yeah.
his posturing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's so good.
Yeah.
He's great at it.
You guys said that you just rewatched the remake, the 2010 movie.
Yes.
Because that's the only time that it's played by another actor.
I hated it.
Alicia
Really?
right off the
so
bat
much.
caught it.
I know. And I like beforehand was like, ooh, I'm really, really nervous for this. I hope he does it. Hope Freddy holds up.
Had you read stuff about it beforehand? Was that why you were looking for it? Yeah, because before we started the
No.
movie,
No,
you
I
were
don't
saying,
think so.
"Oh man, I hope that Freddy's okay in this movie." I'm
Because
concerned.
he's so iconic in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
originals.
It
So
was
I was
like-
just
yeah, it
like,
was
how
like at
can
the
you top
forefront.
that? But yeah, I was really, really upset.
You hit the nail right on the head. So I was like, "What?" I
So
don't think it's going to be an issue.
We'll get there, but it's in like 7 movies when we'll watch that one.
True.
But is it's pretty like right off the bat, you're like, that's not Robert England, and this isn't good. Like
Oh, man.
it's that kind of a
It's
thing.
rough. He looks like a rounded alien head. Like it's kind of
Does.
smooth. It doesn't look like Alicia pointed out. It doesn't look like a man with burns.
Yeah.
But
Almost like a animal, like
Oh.
that's like skinless, basically.
Oh, weird.
it's very
yeah,
odd.
the
It
skull
doesn't-
is weird.
I was trying to be an apologist at the start. And I'm like, oh, it's not just a weird angle from the shot.
Yeah.
And then we got to a later scene where he's just out in the open. I was like, oh no, you're
Oh.
right. This is rough.
Oh.
But like performance wise, What
he doesn't
comparing?
carry the same, he doesn't
Yeah.
carry the same
So,
movement into
okay,
the frame.
just not.
He doesn't seem like the same guy at
Doesn't
all.
seem like he's
No.
having fun because Robert Englund is just having fun.
Yes.
You
Dude,
can
he
just
totally
tell.
is.
He's
Yeah.
loving
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
My favorite detail about Freddy in this movie is that he'll pop out of something and he's getting ready to kill a bunch of people. But he's like, no, I don't want to do that quite yet. I see a table that has pictures on it. I need to throw all of the pictures off of the table, and then I can start
Yeah.
attacking
He's
people.
ultra dramatic. He wants to gather the spotlight all up.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that one there, that one there, that one there. We're getting them all here, and now I'm gonna go in.
So much drama.
Yeah, it's so great.
But yeah, Brad Pitt and Christian Slater auditioned for the lead of this movie.
Oh my
What?
god.
Yeah.
Young Brad. I would have loved
young
to see
Brad
that.
instead of. Oh, I see. I thought it was like a Johnny Depp kind of. That's where my
yeah.
head was at.
Oh, yeah.
No, he was gonna play the Jesse character,
Yes.
I believe, right?
Oh my gosh,
Yep.
that would have been iconic.
Yeah. And then at the time, putting it into perspective, like movie horror villains didn't really talk. You
Oh,
know, you had
yeah.
Jason and Michael who don't.
So
speak.
Jason doesn't talk either.
No.
Okay.
At least not at the time. I've never
Yeah.
seen a Friday the 13th movie, so I don't know. By this time, though, we will have recorded an episode with our friends on 90 Under 90, and we will have watched Jason Goes to Hell.
Yep.
And that'll be the first Friday the 13th
Yep.
movie we will have watched, which I think is maybe the perfect way to enter into the series I've never seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they didn't talk, and so the writer of this movie emphasized that, and he wanted Freddy to speak a lot,
Yeah.
which I think is good.
Yep.
I think that's a good development. He does talk a bit in the first movie, but
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
movie he's yucking it up quite a bit, calling people his children. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what that means, but
Well,
Cool.
he killed children.
well, yeah, I guess you're right. You're
So-
right.
Yeah, and I think they turn that up as the series goes on too, because like the third one,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
or he really leans into it. He's got
Is that the one where he's like
catchphrases.
reborn or something?
It's the Dreamers one.
The
It's
Dream
one-
Warriors.
Yeah, is
The
that the one
best
where
the
there's,
best
like,
one that we've
they're-
seen.
Okay.
I love that
Wait,
one.
you guys have seen that?
Yeah.
We've
cool.
seen the 5 of them.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, because last
Yes.
year we were watching them, and then we were like, we have to cover this in October next year, and then we kind of stopped, and now we're
Yeah.
starting again. But 3, I think, is like the best one of the 5 that I've seen by like a long
Honestly,
shot.
I liked it a lot.
That one is definitely the most unhinged. I mean,
Yes.
they turn into straight like
It's
So
karate
focused.
warriors.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
doing flips. They're going
Yeah,
crazy.
that's awesome.
They entered the Matrix with
Yes.
Larry Fishburne. Larry,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Lawrence in that one.
Oh, is that what he's
That's
built?
right, yeah.
They bill him as Larry, which I
Oh.
always think is funny when an actor kind of tries to redefine themselves from their younger years. Like,
Yeah.
I'm Lawrence now.
Yeah, I'm distinguished. Yeah.
And he changes his acting style. In the back in the day, he was like, "Hey, what's up,
Right.
brother?" And in
Yeah.
the later movies, he's in charge.
Yes.
He's very zen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, yeah, like Apocalypse Now, he's that
Yeah,
kinda
exactly.
thing as well.
Now, those were both very early in his career,
Yeah,
so it makes
yeah.
sense. Probably like early 20s.
But yeah, so there was a new makeup artist for this movie because the other guy was busy shooting another one. And he added the red and yellow eyes, and he crooked his nose a little bit more.
Nice.
So that's something to point out. The actor Jesse, so this speaks to something you two were just saying about how the movie is kind of like flipping the what we know about horror movies, where it's like the girl's always in trouble and all that, and it's flipping it to the guy being in trouble and the guy being the one that we are like, oh, he's so hot, I guess.
Which is interesting because, like, you were talking about the other auditioners for the character. With Brad,
Yeah.
they were heartthrobs. Christian Slater,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they were heartthrobs in that era. This kid, he doesn't feel like a heartthrob. The other
No.
guy's the heartthrob, or they don't treat him
Yeah,
that way.
the other
They treat him
guy,
like
yeah.
a tool, which is a very gay ideal. Like he's the meathead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not hot.
Right.
He's not treated as hot, even though he's the traditionally hot guy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more feeling character, he's the sexy one, which is funny to me.
Yeah. So it is like flipping all of these tropes on their head, which certainly alone makes the movie kind of more interesting than a lot of horror movies during this time period. But the actor has since said, I may be the first male scream queen, which I think
Oh.
is very funny.
Yeah.
Because he also screams like a
too.
woman. in
Yes.
He does.
Oh,
no,
man.
he goes all
Yeah.
in on
Very
that.
first, before we even see his face, it's like
Yeah.
blood curdling upstairs, and the whole family just rolls their eyes like,
Yeah.
this kid, man.
So funny.
What does his little sister say? Why can't he dream like everyone else?
Why can't Jesse wake up like everybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just like, oh, brother. That's how they react to that scream.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, Jack didn't realize that the movie was gay, and you'll see these interviews with all these guys who worked on the movie, and they're just all like, I don't know how, but we did not pick up on that. But another thing is the production designer was gay, and he added a bunch of like subtext to the movie. So like there's a board game called Probe that he put on there. And then there's like on his bedroom.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice it either. They just pointed it out in the behind the scenes. But then there's also like on his on Jesse's room, he has a sign. He's in high school and it says "No chicks allowed."
Yes, I did see
Which
that
is, like,
actually.
insane.
I noticed
Oh,
that.
and there's a scene where it gets real hot and steamy in the room, and this isn't the dancing scene, which I want to talk about later.
We're gonna have to talk
I
about that
want
for
to
a
talk
while.
about that, but there's a scene I think a little later on where he wakes up and it's just boiling in his room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks over and he sees his baseball helmet melting
Yeah.
kinda
Yes.
on its mounted area. And then we cut to another item, which I was confused by right off the bat. And I was asking Alyssia about it. I'm like, well, what does that look like to you? And then before she was able to like really take it in, it cut to like a vinyl record that was melting. I almost wanted to go back because I was like, I don't know what that item could have been, but it looks suggestive.
Wow.
Oh, I certainly missed it.
Yeah.
Whatever it could have been.
Yeah, it's the second item they show, and it's I don't know how to explain it. It was interesting. I think you can guess what it might have been, and
Yeah.
I have to imagine it was centered in the frame. It was the item, so it must have been something, like
Yeah.
a weird shaped lamp, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the way it looked after it had wilted, I was like, that's
That's a choice.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
guys.
is intentional.
But yeah, and then finally, let's see. Yeah, now we'll just talk about Jack Shoulder. He was editing trailers, and then with Bob Shea, and then he made this horror movie called Alone in the Dark, and then he got this movie.
Mhm.
Then the writer, like I said, is David Chaskin. This is his first movie, and he's done a handful of things that I've never heard of. And then cinematography, we have Jacques Haitian, who did the first Nightmare, so we talked about him last week. And Christopher Tully has done a ton of things. I didn't recognize any of them. And then the music is by Christopher Young, who did The Dark Half, Entrapment, The New Pet Cemetery, kind of a horror guy.
Okay.
And it comes out November 1st, 1985, $3 million budget. And I didn't realize this because this has totally changed these days. But in this day and age, if you came out with a sequel, it was assumed that it would make less money than the first movie,
Oh. Okay.
which is not the case at all now. It's like your sequel, even if it's not as good as the
It has
first
to make
movie,
more.
like critically, will usually make more
Yeah.
nowadays.
You gotta set up for the rest of the universe. Like,
Yeah.
this is-
Right.
They almost seem like sometimes, all right, we just gotta lay the groundwork. Like we gotta put
Yeah.
this thing down, and then we can get going.
Yeah.
And yeah,
But this movie made $29 million dollars according to Box Office Pro, but $21 million according to the numbers. So I'm not sure, and I usually use the numbers, so I'm not sure
Somewhere in there.
where it landed. But it was a big hit. But it's been critically, like for the most part, this is the terrible one. This one sucks. But I think there's a lot of people that I think it felt like from their interviews and just like our conversation here, I think that people are starting to appreciate this movie
As they should.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm a believer that this one is my favorite,
Yeah.
and I think that there's an argument to be made for it being the best. It's like a crime to say it's better than the original.
Yeah.
That's one of these slashers, but I'm.
You think it's better than
I
one?
think it's got more interesting characters. I think they're better written. I think the direction of the movie is way more interesting,
Uh-huh.
and I like almost noticed everything about it more. Don't tell anybody, but
Uh-oh. I'll have to cut that part out.
yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but I would love to hear you lay it out as we go. I think the direction I would push up against more than
Yeah,
anything else.
There,
I think
there are
Wes
some
has
things.
a
I think there's some
better
sloppy
handle on
editing.
it.
There's things along that line where it's just like that wasn't clean.
yeah.
You know, the way it's being made, you can tell it's not quite on the same level, not as
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But there is something like kind of there's something about like how it's kind of thrown together that it's almost easier to watch than the first movie.
I think this is such like one of the most interesting sequels to a franchise that you would never get this today because everything's so thought out, whether or not it was planned.
yeah,
you know?
sure.
Yeah. I think the premise is really interesting.
especially in the era, like
Yeah.
you know, of those, you know, the classic characters like that, you know, Friday the 13th and Halloween 2.
Yeah.
They both feel like they're picking up right where the second one left or the first one left off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while this one kind of feels like it's nodding to it, like, okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
start it with this idea that Freddy's there from the beginning, and then we're gonna end it with the idea that Freddy's still in control, sort of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But other than that, it does feel like a departure.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel
Totally.
like
Interesting.
it's connected.
Yeah, very little connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like I kind of wish this sort of thing would happen more cuz when the writer said I didn't have much love for the first movie, it's just I feel like now anytime someone makes a sequel, it's like you know, like I pledge allegiance to Star Wars that I've seen them all and studied them and read all the books. Now may I make a movie? And it's like maybe it would be cool if someone who didn't really like Star Wars made a Star Wars movie.
I knew you were gonna tie it into like Last Jedi conversation in some way. Like that, it has to happen because that is the one movie in this era where it feels like they did break that rule, and then it got so much backlash for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Everybody has this idea, and you have to be very careful that you stay within the beloved box.
right.
And so we don't.
and that's why
The movies are a little less interesting sometimes.
absolutely. And I like the other example I use, and granted, I have not seen this movie, so I'm kind of just judging it on the trailers. But the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife is so confusing because it's like this is a comedy series, and you're treating it like you're following like the 10 Commandments or something, where it's like this honorary thing, and it's like it's Ghostbusters. It should
Yeah.
be silly nonsense for
Yeah.
an hour
So
and a
playful.
half.
Don't
And
we
it
get
shouldn't be over 2 hours. It's Ghostbusters.
main villains come out of the fridge most of the times?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like not everything has to be that important. I
Yeah.
guess like when it's concerned with movies, and it would be cool. I mean, I would pay to see a Star Wars movie where someone was like, "Yeah, I don't really like Star Wars." I would pay to see
At
that.
this point, definitely.
Yeah, it
Might
is.
as
It is
well.
funny when you talk about like Ghostbusters in particular. I think that with the the current era of how like Netflix has to present movies to you, they got to give you the three little blurbs. What
Yeah.
type of movie is this?
Yeah.
That one I think you'd call irreverent, and so it's very funny to treat it with too much reverence.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's an irreverent comedy. What do you?
Yeah.
You missed the point.
Right. And yeah, one of these days we will talk about that on the podcast, and I will finally see it. But I don't really like the first movie, so I've never really cared about
Yeah.
covering Ghostbusters.
That's down the road. Far down the road.
Yeah, we got more important movies to cover, in our opinion.
Yeah.
You want to hit us with some actors, Jordan?
Yeah. Mark Patton plays Jesse. He's not in a lot of stuff. He is in Family Possessions, Amityville Clown House, which sounds like a fun time, and One Dead Dog.
I just want to point out to the audience that Trevin looked at Alyssia after the clown movie, and I was like, what he communicated to her was, "Are we watching that tonight?" I saw it in your eyes.
I just like a good jumble of words. If you put some
Yes.
funny words together, like that's my favorite thing. Sometimes people misunderstand me because if you say an interesting sentence, I'll crack up. I'll jot it down. Like that was a series of words I haven't heard put together in a while or ever.
Amityville Clown House. Yeah.
Yeah, Amityville Clown House.
is
Like,
funny.
thank you for that. Thank you. That
Yeah.
made my day.
Can't wait to see your Letterboxd on that movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm not watching it.
I'll do the groundwork.
Yeah, thank you.
Kim Myers, who plays Lisa, she's in Hellraiser 4. She's in an episode of Seinfeld.
She is?
Yeah, she plays Pam, who Jerry isn't gaga over, but Kramer is. And Kramer's trying to get her to fall for him.
I'm vaguely remembering.
And that's the one about not wanting kids.
Okay.
Come on, Micah. She's also in The Forger, and then Walker, Texas Ranger. And then Robert Russler plays Ron, the friend. He's in Weird Science, Thrashin'. Sometimes They Come Back. A couple episodes of Ray Donovan and Atone.
Weird Science makes so much sense for him. Like,
That's like he made that, and then this is the next movie.
okay, yeah, because it just that lines up so perfectly with the character he's playing.
Yeah.
Never seen it. That's all.
My mom's really mad that we've never seen it too.
Yeah.
Every
Oh,
time-
neither of you
yeah,
have seen it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
I think I've seen
I
some of it on
always
TV.
say I'd watch it, and I'm trying to get her to like buy it and show it to us because
Yeah,
it's not
but
on anything.
She'll do it. She'll do it one of these
Those
days.
Yeah.
those 80s eyeball poppers.
Yeah.
It's just like what an era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make anything,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
And sometimes those types of movies are more fun to watch with the people that love them.
Mhm.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Weird Sciences totally stands up and would be awesome. But I feel like if I watched it at home, like by myself or with you, we would just be like, oh,
Compared
Yeah,
to the
crowd
rest-
crowd movies. Crowd movies definitely. There's movies that you have to watch with a bunch of people to giggle about it,
Yeah.
to like have fun with it. And if you're by yourself sitting in the living room, hanging out, it doesn't quite feel fun. And so,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
get that same experience. So I don't think you're gonna see
Yeah.
that movie and go, yes, okay. This is
Weird
very
Science,
interesting.
I really like that
is
one.
this going to be
I
in my top 4?
I think it
no.
was called the Brat Pack, which was
Yeah.
Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, and Weird Science. And compared to the other two, like I don't know, that movie just like isn't as awesome in
Weird
my opinion.
Science?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Interesting.
Breakfast Club and 16 Candles blow it out of the water. Personally,
Yeah.
Not a
Well,
big
Breakfast
really
Club
good.
is.
Yeah, not a
really,
big
really great.
16 Candles guy.
I loved
but
that movie when I was a teenager.
That's the one with long Dick Dong or whatever. right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I
Long
think
Duck
that's
Dong.
Long Duck
Yeah,
Dong.
yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's a movie you're watching it now. You like.
Yes.
I mean, we can't. Movies were made. We shouldn't like wipe them out because they have offensive stuff.
Oh,
but that
no.
one, when
We should address it though.
the first
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
first time I watched it, and the only time I've watched it, I was like, "Whoa, this is like pretty intense." I feel like even for
Yeah.
the time, this is intense.
Mhm, for sure.
Yeah, I just don't like it on its like
Yeah.
entertainment value. Like
Yeah.
I had that stuff, it's of its era, and we
Yeah.
look at it and we go, well, they did stuff different. But I just don't think the movie's enjoyable. So
Yeah, there's some pretty good stuff in it though.
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Clu Gulager plays the dad. He is in The Return of the Living Dead, Feast, The Last Picture Show, and he's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
He is. Who
Oh.
is he in Once Upon a Time?
He's like the bookstore guy. So I think it's when
Oh.
Sharon Tate buys that.
buys a book.
But-
And
Did you-
he's like, I have that book for you.
Did you say The Last Picture Show? Is that the Bogdanovich one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't.
And this guy actually passed away in August. So he worked up right until the end.
R.I.P.
And then Hope Lange, who plays the mom, she's in Bus Stop, Death Wish, Blue Velvet, and Clear and Present Danger, among
Okay.
a million other things.
That was the mom.
Yeah.
So the mom in this is much better than the mom in the last movie.
True.
Yeah,
I know.
the dynamic in the first movie
was so
with the
odd.
It's
mother
so
daughter, it's
strange.
just like, what is
Oh,
happening?
it's awful. That
She's
that
so
woman
Each
is
dramatic.
other.
Everything she does. Go to bed. Huge
I'm
movements.
so
and-
sorry I never told you, honey. I didn't think it would matter in the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like
So
everything
terrible.
is like extreme, but
Yeah.
then they also don't feel like they're talking to each other.
No.
Like
Right.
they just feel like it almost feels like operatic when either of those two are in a scene together because it looks like they're staring out at the audience saying their lines
Yep.
Yeah.
and the other person doesn't matter. It's so
Yep.
strange.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely an upgrade with the parents in this movie.
For sure.
I think they almost feel like this movie's just so funny. It's just such a comedy feeling movie that their dynamic just feels such like a comedy.
Definitely.
So funny.
Yeah, the dad is actually he's doing like basically a sitcom dad performance and it works.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
works
It's
really
great.
well. He's just
Oh,
like pissed off at his son the whole movie.
The air conditioner just needs some Freon, honey.
So good.
This movie is chock full of one-liners.
It
Yeah.
really is, yeah. I mean, I think you can find something to laugh with or at in every single scene of this movie.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
And folks, if you're just listening cursory on this, if you're just a completionist on the podcast, you gotta watch this movie. Even you people who can't handle horror, you can handle this
Movie is not scary.
It's
It's
not a
not
horror.
scary
No,
at all.
No.
But it will crack you up.
Yeah.
There's a scene in this movie where they put like weird baby masks on a Rottweiler, but then
Yeah.
the noises they make it, like the noises that come out of the Rottweilers are like feral shrews. It is
Yeah.
like everything is just kind of like, what's happening, man? What is going on?
So
When
funny.
the guy who did those effects at the end, he said at the time when they started working on those effects, he was working on, I think, Aliens. And so he said, honestly, I didn't really care because I was working on Aliens. And he's like, I look back on it, kind of whiffed it on the last sequence of this movie. Like, those effects are bad.
with the dogs.
The dogs and, like, the rat, the mutated rat and stuff.
Oh,
Oh.
right. Yeah.
But a lot of the other effects are cooler than most effects we see in movies
Seriously.
today.
Mm-hmm.
Something to the effects that I think is interesting in all these movies is the skin in this series is like very canvas-like. It's like it's a layer that is placed over the top of a body. So whenever it's
when they-
sliced,
yeah.
it does feel like you're cutting open a like thick piece of rubbery plastic.
It's like a
Yeah.
mannequin
And
or
it,
something.
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel wrong. Like it just is strange.
Yeah.
And I really like at the end of this one, I felt that way going all the way up for the first in this movie. And when you get to the end of the movie, I felt very vindicated because he gets all burnt up. Spoilers.
Yeah.
He gets all burnt up, and then the skin just sloughs off like a layer, like
Yeah.
a crust
Yeah.
that breaks off of him. And I'm like, okay, I believe that in universe there are weird like
Layers
earth
of
crust like layers on each person's body.
Just in this world. Yeah. Yeah.
This universe,
Yeah.
you have multiple layers of skin.
Well, I think we all
I'll go
have
with
three.
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Scientifically speaking. Okay.
Dermis, epidermis, and then something dermis. So now, before we dive into the plot, I put my note here. Does anyone want to share any nightmares that they have had, whether they're funny or scary
I
or
would
anything?
like to point out that right after watching the second movie, I literally had a Freddy dream.
Whoa.
And I was-
Really?
yeah, it wasn't like particularly scary. He was just there, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I just remember being like, "What is this? Why is this happening?"
Was he having fun?
No, I
Yeah.
don't even like honestly remember what
Yeah.
happened. I just remember like seeing him there.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was annoying. Honestly, I was like, "This is
Sounds
so
kind of
stupid."
fun. He's such
Like,
a
this
fun little
is-
rascal.
for real.
We love Freddy.
Loves to.
He's done some bad stuff,
Yes.
but he's pretty fun.
He's
got a
good
unique
guy underneath it all.
Anything from you, Trevin?
Yeah, no, I don't think I have straightforward nightmares anymore. Like all of my things you'd consider a nightmare are more just kind of the general feeling of like angst and like needing to get away. But then you look back at it and it's just like, that's not scary. There's nothing about this that is scary. Like I
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
have like, oh my God, Gollum's gonna get me when I was younger. Like Gollum jumped out of the bush while I was riding my bike and he tackled me and he's trying to kill me.
Did you have that? Is that a real dream?
Yeah,
you
when
had?
I was younger, it was a recurring dream too. Like I would
Whoa.
go
See,
to
this is what I wanted to hear
Oh,
about.
yeah, when I was younger, I used to have there were like 3 different dreams that I would have that would like continue. Like I would go to sleep,
Uh-huh.
I'd have the dream, and then it wasn't always like
Gollum jumping
Yeah.
on your bike.
they weren't repetitious. They were like a continuation of one another. Like
Uh-huh.
it would pick up. Like I'd go to sleep and be like, "Man, no more Gollum tonight." And then it was just episode 2. Like it was
Whoa.
it was a serialization. It was no
Yeah.
fun for me as a child. But
No.
yeah, no. One day I'd go to sleep and I'd be like, do, walk around my house and open up the area where the trash can is. And all of a sudden he'd leap out at me and I'd run away.
So it
and
was
like,
always Gollum in these.
no, not in this one. We're not going to go into all of them. We'd be here all day. But this one in particular, it was Gollum. He was after me. It was a situation where I don't know. I guess Gollum following the hobbits through the mountain pass stuck with me, and he was just always kind of lurking just beyond the distance where you could see him. You could just see the eyes glinting. That must have struck a chord with me when I was younger, because that's the way it felt, where I'd eventually get to the point where I'd be like, oh my goodness, I made it away. I'm almost to school. And then I'd turn the corner and I'd be able to see the elementary school. It was Howard in the dream, Howard Elementary. I'd turn the corner and I'd be like, I've made it. And then he'd jump out and tackle me and rip the back tire to shreds so I couldn't get away. And it was always like next, he was just waiting around the corner, catching up to me, not letting me get there.
That's scary.
I mean, that's kind of awesome, though.
Yeah. No, there was a point, I think,
Credit
when I
where
reached...
credit's due. It's awesome. You have to admit.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, there was a point when, like, late middle school, I started to be aware that was a strange thing. Like, to have the dream pick up where you left off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, kind of, obviously not, it wasn't exact.
Yeah.
But it did feel like, oh, okay, this is following up what happened previously. And there was another series of dreams that happened like that, where I was just like, man, this is interesting. When I go to sleep tonight, I'm kind of interested to see what happens next. Like, like I was hopping on Netflix and really ready to binge the next episode, next 5 episodes or whatever. Yeah. But no, adult life, they're pretty boring. It's just they're all kind of airy. And it's just like some vague entity is following me and I'm like floating away from them.
But you're getting followed quite a bit. Interesting.
Yeah, if you pull out your psychology books, there's something in there for me. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know what it means, but could be that someone is trying to use you to murder everyone else.
Oh,
Could be Freddy.
Could be Mr. Krug.
he's inside of me. Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
let's talk
that
about
line?
overt. Or there we go again.
Yeah, where he
He's
says
entered me.
there's something inside of me, and then the guy's like, there's something inside of you, and you want to sleep with me? It's like,
Oh, I think
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think he says like, yeah, it's your girlfriend wants to get inside of you. Because I think he said he
Yes,
wants
he
to
does.
get inside of you.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, she wants to get inside of you and you're over here, man. It's just
Yeah.
like, and also the implying that she wants to get inside of him. It's like, man, what are they up to?
Yeah.
That's not the normal way
That's
you'd approach
true.
that.
Yeah.
That's saying something about the writer.
Makes you think.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
Now,
When
my
does
head is racing right now.
when does one bro say to another bro that she wants to get inside of you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
man.
know. I've never heard that before.
You rock your way, but
Well, let's dig in here. The movie begins with a bus driving down the road, and the bus driver picks someone up, and it is played by Robert Englund, no makeup. And then
that's cool. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
yeah, it is. And fun thing, I know you don't like it. Well, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know if you guys watch Stranger Things.
Yes.
I don't have feelings against Stranger Things.
Oh, I thought you didn't. And when it came out, you were
TV shows. I think
Yeah,
I'm just
you're-
resistant to TV shows because they let me down. I don't. Everybody else loves them, and I'm like, I don't get it. But we watched all of it.
movies
love
are better.
Stranger
We all know
Things.
that. But
Do we?
We all know that. Everybody who listens
Okay.
knows.
I'm glad
and agrees.
everybody here knows that.
There can be some great shows, but
Absolutely.
they're usually it's tough for a show to be better than a movie.
For sure.
But okay, so you guys have watched the newest season
Watched all of it.
Yep.
because if you didn't know, the Victor Creel is Robert Englund,
Oh.
That makes sense.
which is a pretty fun nod since everything
Yeah.
in the series
That's
is
cool.
basically a reference to something in the 80s. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love that.
when we found that out, we were like, that because I think when
As soon as the character came on screen, we were like, okay, think about it. Who could it be? Who could it be? Of course, they're gonna get someone huge.
yeah,
for
and
that
then
character.
I think we had to look it up because
No,
he's also got like
wait,
sewn eyes. And
I
stuff.
am proud of myself, though. I figured it out.
Yeah, you're right. You did.
I just have to say that for the world.
Yes, you did.
What? That's crazy.
But I
Yeah.
had a
I would
feeling
never
when I
have
looked it up.
guessed.
I didn't even think about it.
No. No.
My mind on TV shows is just like it's a TV show actor, so I didn't think they'd get somebody big.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. But I
Yeah.
mean, you got Meryl Streep has a TV show, so
that's
I
true.
mean,
Things are
it's
changing.
It's on for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he's driving the bus, no makeup.
I have
and
a
then,
question about this.
Oh, please.
Well, so this scene, so our main character is on the bus, and
Yeah.
he's sitting in the back, and he's really sweaty. Obviously, he's dreaming.
Mhm.
But why does he look like a creep?
It's
Does he look like
okay,
a creep
that-
to you?
Yeah.
There's a moment where they do a switch on us. Like
Yeah.
he's the new kid in town, and everyone's laughing at him. Everybody's like, "This guy in the back of the bus, right?"
Yeah.
And they do
He kinda
treat
has
him like
a
he's an
Stephen
outcast.
King-y
Yeah.
kind of look.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
it prepares you to think that this character is going to be outside of any social circle.
Right.
And then, you
Or
know,
like an
10
I
minutes
thought he was
later.
gonna be like an emo kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he looks that way.
He
He's got like
does.
kind of sunken eyes. He
and
looks
he has
like,
like
Yeah.
a ton of eyeliner on.
yeah, definitely.
No, he does.
What?
His
Yeah.
eyes are like, well, maybe not eyeliner, but there's like black,
Yes.
like,
well, like circles
shadow
around his
stuff
eyes,
around.
like he's
yeah.
tired.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it looks like makeup. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
look like
Yeah,
he's tired.
he looks like he
looks
listens to a
pasty.
lot of The Cure.
Maybe it's just
Yeah.
his alter ego. in the
What did you
dream.
say?
It's his alter ego.
Maybe
That's
maybe
his,
that
that's
is
who he
how
dreams of being.
feels,
He
yeah.
plays baseball in real life, but man, when he gets to when he reaches 20 and he gets to move out, he is going to Germany. He's going full.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's his true personality hidden inside,
Yeah.
which is what this whole movie is about. You know.
Maybe.
True.
But it's weird that that look never shows up at any other point in the
Yeah.
movie.
No.
So it's like,
odd.
was this like the first thing they shot, and then
Yeah.
they were like, actually, this doesn't look good. I don't
I
know.
don't know. Weird.
But having said that, so they're going through, and then you see that Freddy's driving the bus. You see the claws like change the gear, and the bus just takes off down like in like Joshua Tree or something, and it's just cruising. And the bus stunts are kind of insane.
Yeah.
Oh, that
It's
thing is
flying all over the
bouncing
place.
around.
Yeah.
Like it is moving. Like they did not care about the suspension.
No, they didn't. Oh my gosh.
And then they get it stuck on, it's a dream, but it's like on these pillars above like a hell, basically.
Yes.
So that I thought was interesting. First time around, I watched it and I was just like, "What is going on?
Yeah.
They're in a pit now."
Uh-huh.
And the second time around, we watched it and I was like, "Oh, so they just kind of stop somewhere, and then the ground falls away around it, and it just leaves those two pillars. Like
Yeah.
they stop on solid ground, and then it
Yeah.
kind of just crumbles. It's just like weird. Okay, so we just parked it here and hit a special button, and then the pit appeared below them. Like he could have
Yeah.
done that anywhere. Why'd you drive so far out?
Just to scare him a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing with Freddy, he's a showman.
Yeah,
he is a
definitely.
showman, and he's certainly a stuntman now too. So then it's rocking back and forth, and then Jesse does his first womanly scream, and like you said, why can't Jesse wake up like everybody else? The sister says, and the mom's just like, oh, he's just having a bad dream,
Yeah.
and that's our intro to their family.
Yeah.
And he goes to school, and my note here is I wrote, then we have the most thrilling baseball game until Twilight gets made.
Absolutely.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually think on rewatching this movie, what's the other guy,
Ron,
Ron?
I think.
Grady
Yeah,
is
his-
that
no.
your
Grady, the character name Grady, yeah.
I thought he was Ron.
I think
Maybe
on
it's-
IMDb he's Ron.
maybe it's Ron
But
Grady.
maybe
I feel like it is Ron because I have a grandfather named Ron,
Makes
and I was
sense.
just like, oh, young Rons. Young Rons existed back then. That makes sense.
Yeah, nobody knows a young Ron now.
it is Ron Grady.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we're all right.
But so he steps up to the plate and he's doing all this like jokey kind of stuff. And I think the first time I just thought it was funny, but this time around I was like, I think he's pretty good in this movie. Like
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that
I
guy's
think
good too.
I think this is actually a really good performance in a movie full of wild performances. His is actually like, yeah, that's how you should play it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
He is that character for sure. He's stepping up to the plate and he's showing you he's going yard, and
Yeah.
it's just like that adds up.
Yeah.
And then instead of going yard, he does the next best thing and just beams somebody in the infield. And he's just like, yeah, okay, that's what he would do, and he would be loving it. He's
Yeah.
yucking it up.
Yeah.
Like, watch out, Bucko, line drive.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just think it's interesting. This is an 80s movie set in high school. And it doesn't seem like a Breakfast Club kind of high school movie where it's so many different cliques. It's like our main character gets beamed in the head, they start fighting, and then they're friends, which I
Yeah.
feel like in
Yes.
a typical 80s movie that our main character is just going to be bullied the whole time.
Oh yeah.
When I feel
Yeah.
like and today in movies like that we get, bullying is still a thing, of course. But like I feel like I'm thinking movies like Booksmart or even like Spider-Man, and it's like there's less clicks is how it feels in high
Yeah.
school
And they
movies
always try
these
to
days.
humanize the bully in movies
Yes.
today. Whereas
Yeah.
back then, the bully was just like, oh, I'm going to get him.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
and they were a caricature rather than a person. And this one,
Exactly.
it does feel much more real because, like, I remember in high school, it was like, you get in a fight with a guy, and a lot of the time, it's just like, oh, okay, we got it.
Yeah,
we
we're
figured it
over
out.
it.
We figured
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, yeah.
We're good
It's
now.
interesting. You don't usually see that in an 80s movie.
Oh, yeah, they totally were like, they had it out, and then they were like, so, what are you up to this weekend?
So
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And a love is born.
Yes,
Mhm.
love blossoms.
Yes.
Well, he pulled his pants down and checked it out, and he was like, okay, I can see what you're working with. We can make this work.
And he asks one of my favorite questions I've ever heard in a movie, where so Grady is talking to Jesse, and he's asking him about his girlfriend, and he says, "Are you mounting her nightly or what?"
Dude, I lost it. Mounting. Like, because he
Mounting
fully
her
announced
nightly.
he wasn't like, flippantly like, oh, you hitting that? He was, are you mounting that
Yeah.
nightly, man? Like, he really
Very
goes in on it.
descriptive.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old the writer was when he wrote this movie, but it does sound like someone who wrote the movie, who one is trying to add all of this gay subtext.
Yeah.
So there's that, which changes a lot of the vocabulary and stuff. But on top of that, it sounds like he's going, I imagine this is what kids sound like since I've been in high school, right? And you watch it, and you're like,
Oh.
I mean, I know it's the 80s. I did not go to high school in the 80s, but I'm like, no one ever sounded like that ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do macho guys say? They sound like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
would say
talk
that.
about mounting girls
What's
nightly,
it-
right?
Yeah, what do people who are interested in girls say? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But then we get our first appearance of Freddy since the bus. And he's haunting Jesse, and he pulls back his head,
Oh,
and
yeah.
his brain is throbbing.
It
Yeah,
looks so
pulses
good.
on the side.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he says, I got the brains, you got the body.
Mm-hmm.
Subtext? Okay, we're getting into just text at this point. Not a lot of sub there. And then, and feel free to jump in at any time. But I just wrote snake.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
in the
can tell you.
classroom when he falls asleep.
No,
Yes.
I don't think it's the bathroom. I think they're classroom.
classroom. Yeah.
My
Yeah,
bad. My bad. Yeah. No. That was
And not
was
a lot
pretty
of
interesting.
bathroom action in this movie.
You know.
Are you? There's a shower scene.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right.
That's the locker room, though.
True.
Locker
true.
room. That's one thing.
That is
Bathroom's a
true.
little different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of locker room action in this
a
movie.
lot. A lot.
A lot
Yeah,
to
but
unpack
w-
there.
What we were thinking during this was like, what an odd scene. That was the first time where I felt like there was a little disconnect in what was going on.
With the snake.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
snake, because it was just like, he's sitting there, he's sleepy, doesn't, he didn't sleep well last night, and he's slowly nodding.
Yeah.
And the assumed bully at this point in the movie,
Yeah.
he's looking back and he's hanging out with his buddy, and he's like, look at this guy, he's passing out, let's mess with him. Or like, they just seem like they're laughing at him. They don't even
Yeah.
seem like they have a plan.
No.
They're just kind of like, check it
And
out.
There's just a snake on him.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the snake's there, and I was just like, "This must be his dream. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna do that
Yeah.
blood curdling scream.
Yeah.
The snake's not gonna be there." But no, the snake's there. The teacher comes over and he's like, "Stop messing around with the animals. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put this back in its cage." It's just
And I
like,
don't understand why he just took it too. He like didn't try to defend himself at all. Like he just
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right. I clearly placed this on me who was sleeping just now.
yeah, I'm passed out and I woke up and was frightened by the snake, but I'm the one who placed the snake on me. Like, I don't know. They don't even give you a scene where you could think that somebody placed a snake on it.
No.
No. It's just them looking, and yeah, that scene made no
I mean,
sense.
maybe they just willed it to happen. You know.
Yeah, Alyssia was saying like, did the snake just get out? Because
Yeah.
the top of the snake, I don't know, cage,
Yeah.
was already open, and
Mhm.
obviously somebody had taken it off, and
Uh-huh.
so either it was left off, and the snake just decided to walk over to him and drape himself over.
walk over to him.
Sorry, slither on over.
Yeah, and I will say I definitely am afraid of snakes. And even this scene, I was like, I'm having trouble watching this. It crawling around
So
him.
the movie is scary for you.
That scene was scary,
Yeah.
only because of my own fear of snakes.
They give it a second so that the snake has time to like wrap himself. It gives him
Yeah.
a like good little like, head and arm squeeze. Like he goes under the armpit and then
Yeah.
back around the neck.
What type of snake is it? Do we know?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No.
It was yellow. Yellow and white, I think. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Because I just think of like
Boa.
if I was the actor, and I think if I was there and I had to, I just don't know if I could have a snake wrapped around me, even if I was getting paid.
Yeah.
I just don't think I could do it.
I don't know. It seemed friendly.
I'd be like, this is we've advanced. Put a CGI snake on me. That's fine. I would go there. I think.
Whoa. Wow. You
I
wouldn't.
don't-
You couldn't do that for the movie. You'd have to do just CGI.
Well, I guess it depends on how much I'm getting paid.
So disappointed in you.
But snakes are, I mean, they are our natural foes.
So is that why you've never seen snakes on a plane?
Well, no, the reason I haven't seen that is because I didn't want to.
I don't know. I think you're too scared.
Yeah, no, I don't know. If the snake is just kind of doing its own thing, like I just have
Uh-huh.
to sit still and pretend I'm asleep, I might be able to pull it off. But what I can't do is like when a character has to like go up and pick up
Oh.
like a spider or something, like a tarantula, like they walk up and grab it. It's just like I am not willingly interacting with the thing. Like you
Yeah.
might be able to place it on me, and I could maybe go to my happy place, like find my Fight Club penguin
Yeah.
home
Yeah.
or something. But like as far as like me touching it myself, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that.
I think I would rather have a snake than a tarantula.
Me too, by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
I'd go
by
tarantula.
far.
I'd
You
definitely
would?
go tarantula. Yeah.
The,
Tarantulas are so hairy.
the hairs
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah,
Gosh.
tarantulas to me are. I mean, I'm freaked out by it. But if there was like a tarantula handler there and all that stuff, I would feel more safe than if there was a snake handler.
That's
I
crazy.
could see that. I don't know. Snakes, you never know. They could just like wrap themselves around you, choke you. You never know. They're
Like,
unpredictable.
I mean, with a tarantula, they're big, but
Yeah.
a bad scenario, you just flick your hand and it's
That's
gone.
true. Yeah.
Done.
Oh,
Snake, it's like this is, especially if it's wrapped around you or something.
Yeah.
That's fair. You know, it's
yeah.
already
Okay. Yeah.
it's already entrenched.
Yeah.
But that's part of the catharsis of Indiana Jones, because every time something happens with a snake, I'm like, I'm with you, Indy, which means I could do everything else you've done in this
Mhm,
movie.
Exactly.
I'm as cool as you because
Uh-huh.
I'm afraid of snakes.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what I think, and that's normal, right?
Sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, nothing's broken up in this
No.
part.
No.
Okay,
no. You're
cool.
perfectly normal.
Great. I'll double that.
You'll double that.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
add it again.
I'll add her saying you're perfectly normal. Couple more times.
Cut it in.
Put a little delay, and it'll just reverberate, and that'll be nice.
Put it on any time you're feeling insecure. Perfectly normal. You're perfectly normal.
You're perfectly normal. You're perfectly normal. You're perfectly normal.
So then Jesse goes home, and his dad is just so pissed that he won't clean his room since they moved in.
Yeah.
And I
I would like
love
to
this
know-
logic.
Sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
No, you go. Your turn.
I just love the logic where he goes, "How about he's like, take this, Dad," and he just
How do you
starts throwing stuff in drawers, and I'm like, he doesn't care. Your dad. He
Yeah.
just wanted you to unpack your room. Like you're the one who gets punished for dumping all of your crap in a drawer and then not being able to find it 6 months later.
Yeah.
I love that beforehand he walks into the room and is like, "Ugh, this is ridiculous that I have to unpack my room. I cannot believe this." And then he just, grabs his tape deck and pops in like some I don't know,
The
like
song was so good, whatever it was.
I don't know what it was.
I
So-
thought about like SoundClouding it, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Here's my theory on the song, if I can cut in. I think it is like if it was whatever their version of the 80s of like a public domain library, that's what that song was, because there was no way that was like a hit song. It was definitely not played on set because he'll hold up like a fake microphone, but he's not lip
singing.
syncing
He's
anything.
No.
And so I'm like, this is 100%. They're just like dance, and then we're gonna add this in post, and whatever's cheapest, we're gonna put in there, but
Yeah.
sounds like music of today.
But I thought it was odd because it didn't sound like a pop radio tune. It sounded like we're getting down tonight. Like it was
Yeah.
a song that it was just like, you're telling me a teenage boy is just like, I'm cleaning my room and this is the music I'm listening to? Like that was an odd decision.
Yeah. I agree.
And he gets down to it in a way that you don't expect. Like he's not bopping his head around like, man, I'm having so much fun. He's like, oh, I feel this.
I know it's
My favorite is when he's scooting his butt to close
Oh.
the drawer.
Yes,
That's my
yes.
favorite. It's so funny.
Well, the actor has something to say about that scene.
Oh, great.
He said if in his whole filmography of movies, if he could delete one scene from his career,
no.
it
I'm
would be
sure.
that scene.
It was so
Oh.
iconic, though.
And the director said, it's embarrassing. Like not about him, but
Yeah, no,
he's like
just the scene.
it's embarrassing that we put this in the movie.
It's embarrassing, like secondhand watching it
It
because
is. You do
they
feel that.
the interact. It works for what you're supposed to do. Like the climax of that scene is he dumps a couple boxes into the drawers and he's like, "How do you like that, Dad?" And then he gets totally
Puts on
sidetracked.
Sunglasses that are crazy.
Yeah, he's just he gets fully into it, forgets what he's doing because he's just so sucked into the song. He jumps up on top of his bed and grabs this another weird suggestive toy. He connects it to his groin and he starts thrusting.
He starts thrusting. Yeah.
and then
And then he pops it.
Oh yeah, it's like a pop toy of some kind, and it just shoots out. And as soon as that happens, he thrusts, the item pops forth, and then the door opens with his mother and his girlfriend, and the mom's like, "Oh no, what is going on in here, Bucko?" And he takes everything off and puts it behind his back and looks at him like kind of with a little boyish grin. He's like, "Oh, hey guys, that's nothing." And it's just like, what did I just watch?
That is the scariest scene of the movie for sure.
Yeah, everybody looks like they don't know what to do next. Like it seems like that scene was just
Mortified.
done and they all felt like it was going to be cut. Like everybody looked at each other like, "Oh, we don't have to
yeah,
we don't
that
have to do
doesn't
anything in
work."
that scene. That was weird."
I think you're basically right because the actor kept on like not wanting to shoot the scene, and then eventually
Really?
they're like, we have to just shoot the scene. And he's like, "Okay, I got something worked out." And they were like, "Okay, we're just gonna shoot you." And I think they just shot it, and we're like, "Okay, that's good." They didn't like do multiple takes. And I mean, there are multiple takes because there's different setups, but I think they were just like, "Let's just get through this." Okay, you did it. It's done. And somehow they thought we should keep this in the movie.
It doesn't match the vibes at all.
No.
But I'm glad
I
it's
loved
in
it.
there. I'm glad
It's
in
great.
there.
Oh, I mean, if I made a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I would do a similar scene.
As tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thanks for listening, everybody. And, yeah, and so yeah. And the other thing is the actor mentions that this was around the time Risky Business came out,
Oh.
which has Tom Cruise like sliding in
Yeah.
to the Bob Seger song,
Mm-hmm.
and so like they were trying to do like their version of Risky Business.
No.
you don't want to have to compare yourself to that.
Yeah. You're also making a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Also, totally different, like people. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
Tom Cruise was feeling himself. Like he's like, "Dang, I look good during this." I'm
Yeah.
sure. And this kid was probably like, please don't make me,
yeah.
don't make me do this."
Yeah.
Like, so it's just you can't ask somebody to get into a groove, to dance for the camera if they don't feel it. And I
Yeah.
feel like this kid was just kind of like, I don't. What do people do in this situation? Whereas Tom Cruise was probably like licking his
Let's
lips
go.
beforehand, like, "Oh, I am so ready."
Yeah. I'm sure.
But then they find Nancy's diary.
Yes. She chronicled all the events of the first movie.
Yeah. And
In it.
so the plot of this movie, which is a pretty interesting development, like you're saying,
Yeah.
is Freddy is not interested in the parents. He's not interested in anything like that. He just wants to kill. And the way he can do that is use this avatar of Jesse
Mm-hmm.
and haunt him and possess him. So it's like a possession movie mixed in with a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a haunted house too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like those are three things that are good about horror.
Yep.
So I'm in for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He finds out. I think someone tells him at school too, but he finds out like the people who used to live in this house, the mom committed suicide and the girl killed herself and her boyfriend died across. No, the girlfriend. Sorry, the mom killed herself. The girl went crazy and her
Yeah.
boyfriend died across the street. So he finds that out, finds her diary, finds out what she did.
Uh-huh.
Talks about this Freddy guy
Yeah.
with the claws.
At first they grab it and they're like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
we get to air out somebody's dirty laundry. Like this is
Yeah.
gonna be fun together." And then he stops laughing because he connects like what he
Yeah.
heard at school to what
Yeah.
he's reading, and he's like, "Oh man, okay, this is what that is. This is connecting to that horror story I heard about the house." And he gets real uncomfortable.
Right.
And then the girlfriend's like, "We were having a good time. What's going on now?" So
Yeah, not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have what is, I mean, we just talked about this crazy dance sequence, but we have what's maybe the most baffling scene in the whole movie, where the family is sitting there and they're like, it's really hot. And the dad's like, it needs Freon. Or I think this is the second time. He goes to the thermostat and he's like, it's 97 degrees. Wow.
yeah, he doesn't even imply that he's trying to fix it anymore.
No.
Like everybody separately announces that it's so hot in that room. And then our main character walks in the room and goes, "It is so hot in here."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm going to go check the thermostat." And he announces what the temperature is. But he doesn't imply that he's going to try to fix it. He's just like, "This is
Nope.
the temperature in the room.
Yep.
That's terrible. This sucks."
Yeah.
Yep.
And we hear the daughter say something about how the parakeets are asleep.
Yeah, be quiet.
Come up.
Yeah. And then we have a parakeet attack
Uh-huh.
where it is like The Birds, like Alfred Hitchcock.
I know, that's what I was.
It's
gonna
very
say. That's so
dated.
funny.
There's just like a swinging like fishing wire parakeet that's attacking them.
Mm-hmm.
But what sucks is that bird, that like fake thing that they had, like actually hit that dad in the face, and he has like a scar on, like
man.
like on his eye or in his eye where it like hit at one point
Oh my god.
from this stupid effect. But
Dang.
this I love. So the guy who did that scene, the physical effects in it, is a guy named Dick Albane, and he's like old school Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack, the director, asked him when he was interviewing him what he thought his greatest work was. Like what's like the best work you've done? And Dick said The Three Stooges.
Okay.
And Jack said, that should have given me pause. But they still hired him, and he had that great idea. And
No, everyone's looking back on this movie like it was a mistake.
well, they are, but it's actually kind of sweet because it's like so I think about this often, like a Marvel movie. Like I'll mention Thor: The Dark World. It's unanimously like this is one of the bad Marvel
Yeah.
movies. But I know that if you talk to the actors or the director or whatever, they'd all be like, it was a wonderful experience, yada, yada, yada. And we'll never be able to know, like, maybe there was a feud on set, or maybe something crazy did
Yeah.
happen, or maybe the director was doing a really bad job or something. We'll never get to know that stuff because Disney's got ironclad non-disclosure agreements and stuff. But what I love about this is they're all like, yeah, this is a bad movie, but it was kind of fun, and I'm glad we all worked on it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like, I wonder, in 20 years when the movies that we've watched in theaters, when they get old enough, like, will actors feel comfortable enough to actually tell those stories, or are they going to be like, no, I better not still because I
Yeah.
have
It does
a
feel like there's
contract
an-
with Disney.
Yeah, it feels like there's a range, and NDAs typically have a time frame. So you'd think, unless Disney has figured out a way to extend that stuff,
Yeah.
they do like to renew all their copyrights, and
Yeah.
so you never really know, but I'd hope so. You'd think so. It'd be too
Yeah.
much work to legally renew that stuff, bring them back in, and say you have to re-sign this. Like,
Right.
Yeah, because it's like every actor always says that whatever set they're on is amazing. The juiciest story we've had in years is Don't Worry, Darling, and it's like, when will we know the truth, though?
Yeah.
And it'll
Wow.
probably be in 10,
This
15, 20 years.
Since
But
COVID, I feel like we've gotten more of it. Like the Batman had some interesting
Yeah.
set stuff.
Yes.
There's been more movies where people are like, "Oh man, we've been off set for a little bit. And we came back, and we all forgot what we were doing." Like
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
having these clashes.
yeah.
So the bird attack, the part that I thought was the most interesting is, bird gets out of the cage. One of them was already dead, but that was intriguing. Like it had already exploded, and then
I thought the other bird killed it.
Yeah, the other bird killed it.
did it? Is that
did?
what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah.
Okay.
Because Freddy is inside the bird killing, I think.
Oh,
idea.
okay. I didn't pick
Because
that up.
they were asleep.
I just thought it was a funny occurrence.
No, I
Yeah.
think the first time I was like, why are the birds doing it? But then when the little girl's like, they're asleep, I'm like, oh, Freddy Krueger is possessing this
Oh.
bird.
Very, yeah.
And I
okay,
was like,
that makes
that's,
sense.
that's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Cool. The execution, very lame.
Okay.
And also, real quick, they had built like a crazy, weird looking parakeet thing, but like this big old bird that was animatronic that would go crazy and stuff, but it just didn't look enough like a parakeet, so they scrapped it. But there was a picture of it, and I was like, that looks cool.
Yeah.
It's all like totally messed up, crazy bird.
Cool.
Yeah, I just thought it was super entertaining that they went from like the bird's out, everybody tried to dodge the bird, and it was just the normal shot, and then they went POV with it.
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, okay,
We're doing this now. Yeah.
we're getting to see this thing fly around the room from its angle, like I'm in a World War II fighter jet or something. Like that was funny to me. The fact that we end the scene with it just kind of exploding, like out of nowhere, like. Everybody's dodging. Everybody is like, "Oh my gosh, gotta get this! Knock this thing out of the air with the broom." And then all of a sudden, we look over and it just stops midair and it goes, like what?
Doesn't really
that was
hurt. Like it
wild.
hurts the dad, but it doesn't really hurt anyone else.
Yeah,
That's about it.
yeah. Everybody else manages to like duck behind something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, "Well, why did it just combust? Like, what caused that?" And then the dad does, follow that up later on by being like, implying that the kid Jesse had done it, and he's like, "You rigged
put
it
a
up with a cherry,
firecracker in it."
Yeah,
Yeah.
You did one of those cherry bombs."
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
You're saying that your son like had the bird ingest a cherry bomb and lit it before it went in the stomach or something? How would that even work?
Kids
Where
do
is
the
the
craziest
logic?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that he will not entertain any ideas besides like the son messed it up or it's just more Freon.
Well, it's the son because he hasn't completely finished his room. That's what he's really mad about.
He's always just dancing, that damn kid.
Yeah.
And by the way, a quick question about the remake Nightmare on Elm Street. That when I was younger, that was the first and only one I saw until like last year. And it was with like a bunch of friends and stuff. And it was at a time when I thought all horror was stupid. So it didn't matter. So I have no idea the real opinion of the movie. Having said that, though, I do remember at the end, there's a scene, because it's Rooney Mara, right?
Yes.
Where
Whoa.
she's like struggling backwards and it's flashing back and forth between the realities
I'm gonna be honest.
in the aisle.
That movie lost me a little bit. Like I was
Am I
playing
misremembering? Is that not in there?
I'm gonna be honest too. I fell asleep.
Yeah,
Oh.
she fell asleep.
It's like the finale part.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
I had one headphone off, one headphone on, and I was playing 2K online with friends at basketball.
So you can stop watching movies, Trevin.
Well, I intentionally told Alyssia, like, you can throw another movie on. I'm going to half watch it. So I was watching, I was
Okay.
paying attention, but I think I missed that scene. I kind of followed, I think I watched the first half much more. The second half, it was just kind of like, glance over. Yeah, that makes sense that this is going on. Glance back. Yeah.
Well, never mind. Then my question, I was
I'm
just
so
going to
sorry.
ask if it was cool because I remember it being like kind of a really cool scene.
I just remember feeling like nothing was cool in the movie, and so I wasn't terribly invested. Like, I thought it was pretty bad. Like, it didn't click with me at all.
Well, then let's go back to the good one. So then Jesse is asleep and he goes to a gay bar, which I just don't know how the directors are not watching this and understanding. And the guy who serves him at the bar is Robert Shea
Oh, it is?
because he wanted to be in the movie.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I can't remember which role it was. It was either the dad or the gym teacher. And the director said, like, I need a real actor to do this. And in the interview, Bob Shea was like, sometimes that director could be a real jerk, and that was one of those times.
Oh my gosh.
But they appeased him, and they put him behind the bar.
Uh-huh.
And it's, yeah, I'm just pointing that part out.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they're at a gay bar, and then the gym teacher's there, who Grady had earlier mentioned goes to this gay bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then,
I don't think they directly stated there was a gay bar. They were just kind of like,
well, he calls it a BDSM place.
yeah. That's where they
Yeah.
directed it. But there were men and women throughout that bar.
There were.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But everybody was kitted up. You know,
Yes.
they put on their their
Leather.
snazzy
A
outfits.
lot of leather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they're like, it's dream logic, which is always fun. They just like walk into the gymnasium.
Yeah, and he's running laps.
He's running laps, and there's a shot that's genuinely a great cinematic, very, as you said, Kubrick-y shot where
Yeah.
like there's a red room in the background, and the camera just is very wide, and it just pans with him or it dollies with him as he's running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shot was gorgeous.
Yeah, look good.
It was like, this shot is too good to be in this movie.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool because it started out with him running just like by himself, and then as he completes his lap, it pans back to the left, and then the coach enters the frame.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was really cool blocking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't change the camera angle. They finally introduce, not finally, it happens after a couple seconds, but they introduce the coach into the frame, and then as he tells them to hit the showers, it pans back right, and we get to watch our main character Jesse walk out towards the showers. So it's like, man, that was very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool shot, and it's creepy. Like, that's maybe the only creepy shot in the
Sure.
movie.
Yeah. And all of it feels weird too because I think the coach is still wearing that weird outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesse's barefoot while
Yeah.
he's running too, so it's just
And
weird.
his shirt, like the
Yeah.
whole scene's odd because when he goes to the bar,
His shirt's open.
yeah, his shirt's
Yeah.
completely open. He's like drenched, like still from when he woke up.
Yeah.
Like you managed to make it from your bed all the way across town to this bar and you're still covered in sweat. Are
Yeah.
you okay, man? And he enters the bar, looks around. He doesn't look like he really came there for a reason because obviously he's being influenced by Freddy. And then he gets to the counter. The bartender's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, "Just give me a beer, man." Like he doesn't look like a kid that's concerned about whether or not he can buy a beer. He looks like he needs a drink. Give me a drink now. I have had enough. And then right after he orders the drink, the coach just appears behind him and is looming over like, "I got him now." And he does that a few times in the movie where the coach always just kind of comes up behind him and is like, "Oh boy, I got him good."
Love that he's chewing gum the whole time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we have what's more scary than getting hit by balls? That thing that happens all the time when you're in school.
Yeah.
Where you get hit by maybe a tennis ball or a basketball and it hurts.
Or a
But
line drive from a baseball.
Yeah.
is it scary? No.
No.
Why did they come up with this idea? The,
was so
the
funny,
gym
though.
coach is like, so these balls start like slamming into him. And there's one of the best ones is when he gets hit by a basketball and he's still chewing his gum, and then he just like gets up and looks again like, well, what was that?
Yeah, like nothing happened.
And then it hits him again. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then he's crawling away as all these balls are just like demolishing him, which again, subtext. And then he goes to the shower. He gets like dragged to the shower.
By a jump rope.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
jump rope.
this
The
is-
jump rope I loved because before anything weird started happening in the room, like he walks in, that's just his normal coach's office. He's got all the
Yeah.
balls in there because
Yeah.
that's his realm. And then he opens up a locker and he grabs the jump ropes and he gets a little grin on his face. Like he has a plan for
Yeah.
that set of jump ropes right there. And he sets them down on the table like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you won't
Here
believe
we
what I
go.
have
Yeah.
next for you, Jesse." And he sets them down. And then the weird stuff starts happening in the room. And then the jump rope is used to like tie him up
Yeah.
and drag him and then literally like lash him up like in the showers. Like they drag him out of the room with the ropes and then they stretch him all the way out like an X shape in the showers and just rip off his clothes.
know.
And then
Which had me howling when
Absolutely.
we watched it. Well, both times. I mean, when the four of us watched it that one time, I remember we were all losing it. But this time too, I thought it won't be as funny the second time. Nah, I was crying. I was
funny.
laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And then the towels fly and they smack him
Yeah.
right in the ass.
And I loved that part because he tied him up first, walked away. Like it was like Freddy tied him up and he's like, "All right, now I got you where I want you." And then he walks away, goes and grabs some towels, and then he lines them up and it's like, "All right, now I'm ready." Like that's the performer coming out in him again because
And then-
he was like, "All right, he's all tied up.
Yeah.
Now I go grab my utensils for what I'm gonna do."
And it's spanking him a lot, and it's just hilarious. And then it's like, but is he killing him? Like, is he gonna die by spanking? and then Freddy claws him on the back a couple times, and
And
that's what
the
does it.
claws, the claw kills him. Like,
Yeah, but it's also like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Like,
but it just
I
feels
don't
like that
know.
was tacked on.
Yeah.
The position of him being in the X as you're describing, bare ass, only in tennis shoes, slumped over, but like still sprung up, was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I
no,
was, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, we had to pause it because I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, it's one of those like those like asphyxiation kinks that you hear about in the
really
news.
weird.
Yeah, like oh, how did he die? Oh, I'm not going to read this article.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good,
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, And-
He got spanked to death, I think.
yeah. Oh man. And I loved that the spanking started happening, and he got a few good whips in, and they leave a couple marks, and he reacts like you expect him to react, like oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And then by like the third and the fourth, he starts getting real red, but he starts looking back, like he's like glancing back, he's watching it happen to him, like he's turning over his shoulder and watching contact being made, and it's just like weird.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Weirdly into this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's become aroused. I'm glad that we can only see his backside.
Yeah.
God.
In his sweet little tennis shoes. It's just so wild. And again, in the interview thing, they're kind of like, why did we do that?
Really.
Like they're just like, it's like it's a fugue state for them where they're all just like, I don't know. I guess we shot this movie. I don't know anything about it though. It's weird.
I mean, maybe that's why part of the reason why you should get someone to write it who is a fan. You know, I know that person who's writing it's not necessarily shooting it, but
Yeah.
We
maybe
got
it's
some,
a
like,
case for that.
Freudian psychodynamics going on in
Yeah.
there.
But then they decide to go to Freddy's old power plant, girlfriend and boyfriend.
To see if he feels something.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
No.
But then he gets possessed in the night and almost kills his sister.
Yes.
So then now he's at the point of like Nancy in the previous movie where he's like, I can't sleep. I
Yeah.
have to stay awake. So he takes some speed. And then we're at the pool party.
Yeah.
One of the wildest. I mean, it's just this movie, folks, it's just the perfect. Like, you know, when you watch a bad movie and you wish that it was either worse or better, because it's just
Yeah.
like, it's just not bad enough to be fun.
Yeah.
This movie hits it all. It's like every scene you go, they can't top like a parakeet explosion. Then you have a guy getting spanked to death. And then you're like, then you get to the pool party. I mean, you can't top the spank. The spank's too funny. But it's still like, then you basically equal it with this insane pool party.
The pool party is like when we started the first movie, actually, we were rewatching it. In my head, I was like, man, isn't there a sweet pool party scene in this movie? And then I was like, oh no, that's the second one. Like we were watching the first one and I was ready for the pool party scene. Like
Yeah.
it was the scene in my head from this series. And I was a little bummed. I was like, oh man, I gotta wait for the second one for that to happen. What is the iconic scene in this movie? I guess falling into the beds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the things that happen. The first movie is very straightforward, and there's not any insane set pieces. Whereas the second one, it's like the locales that we visit are all cool and interesting.
A lot happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so did you two ever attend any parties like this where it started with the dad cooking, listening to Benny Hill, and then like the second the light turned off, the tops went off.
Benny Goodman.
Benny Goodman.
Oh yeah,
The tops
boy.
went off, and then the beer came out immediately. Did you
As soon as the
attend
lights
any?
go out, like not even asleep yet.
No, I think that's an upper class thing. Where like if you're an
True.
upper class
True.
kid,
Yeah.
then the parents are a little bit more willing to be like, okay, we'll let you have a party. Whereas like if you're poor, they're like, no, you're not having a party. You're gonna get in trouble. And the older people, rich people are like, my kid's not gonna get in trouble, and even though they do, who cares? So
yeah, the cops.
the rich,
Yeah.
the rich kids are like, we'll talk to the judge. It's fine. Like we'll throw the party. We'd rather them have it here. Like
Right.
Exactly. That kind of situation. Yeah.
But I do think the dynamic, it's genuinely a funny bit.
Yeah.
Where the dad is out there cooking and he's hanging out with everybody. It reminds me of like something my dad would do where he'd be like, oh, your friends are coming over? Let me cook and hang out.
Your dad would do that.
Oh, and they preface it like they talk about the fact that there's going to be a party, and the girl's friend is like, "Oh, your dad's not gonna DJ with Benny Goodman again, is he?" And she doesn't seem convinced when she gives this response, but she goes, my mom's going to try to talk to him. And then we
Yeah.
cut to the party, and it's just like, mom couldn't pull it off. Like, he is out there.
Like,
he's having the
that's
time of
funny.
his life.
That's genuinely funny.
Yeah. And he's like yelling at the kids, like, hey, careful on the diving board. What do you guys want? You want
Yeah.
a double-decker burger? And he's just loving it. hamming it up.
I do love that when the mom convinces him to go inside. It's the kids' time now. That they have a moment. You know, they get to like let's have our marriage time.
Yeah.
In the bedroom, kids are out there. Let's
Have
take
like
advantage of
a
it.
glass of.
Pour me a highball, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically what's going on.
But then right when the lights go off and they like immediately change the music, blare it, like they start screaming.
Yeah.
And
They're-
like I said, like a top flies off in like the second shot
Yeah.
of that. And then they're just like going nuts. The beer comes out and stuff. And then the dad's like, "What do you think's going on?" And she goes, "I don't know."
Yeah.
That's it with them.
Yeah. Well, I like that they obviously had discussed it. Like the mother did work on him beforehand.
Yeah.
Because she goes up to him and is like, "Hey, look at the
It's
clock.
time,
It's
yeah.
time. They've got their time now. We're going inside, okay, hun?" And he looked like he had to mentally prepare himself for that moment. Like
Yeah.
he was just kind of like, "All right, I said I would let them have their time." So, and then he does like an honorary handoff. Like he
Yeah.
grabs one
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
kids.
You're the grill master now.
Yeah, he's like, "Come here, bud. Here's the spatula.
Yeah.
You make sure to carry on my legacy. I'm heading inside.
And that
Have
guy
fun."
does.
Yeah, and he loves it.
because this girl comes up to him and he's like, "Want a hot dog?"
Yeah,
and they're
he's-
like hanging out.
Yeah, he's so proud.
Yeah.
Like I was chosen.
Yeah, good for him.
I mean, it seems like a fun party, I gotta say.
Yeah,
Real
definitely.
True. I
And
wish I was cool enough to get invited to parties like
Oh
that.
yeah, I wouldn't have been cool enough to go to a party like that.
Absolutely
No.
not.
I thought it was super interesting that it was like that party was not real in any way, just because the ratio male to female is like confusingly perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like they, you talked about the scene where they're all looking up at mom and dad's window, like lights are on. Lights are off. Let's go. And then they pull out the like wagons full
Yes.
of cold brew and they start popping them. And immediately everybody pairs up.
Yeah.
Like it's a dance or something. Like they
Right.
already had their partners. And to every man there's a woman, to every woman there's a man. They immediately split apart, and within a couple minutes after the fun is happening, they all jump in the pool. They all get out and they're all
Like
together,
cuddling,
like
like on top of
as
each other.
couples. Like within a couple minutes, just like, man, that is the most successful party that.
That's why everyone comes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, the Benny Goodman party's coming around."
Yeah.
I've already asked my date.
Yeah. Probably maybe it is in this world.
Yeah, this is the prom basically.
Yeah, it's
Like,
better than prom. It's more successful.
Yeah, for real.
Exactly.
That's great.
That's so funny.
But then Jesse's in the cabana with
Lisa.
with Lisa, and they start getting down.
But he
she-
wants to leave. He
Yeah.
goes in there and he's like, "I'm not feeling this. I gotta go home." And she's like, "What? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Everybody else is at this party's getting some, and you're gonna leave me out? This is my party."
Yeah.
Yep.
So then he licks her with a giant Freddy tongue.
Yeah.
Gross.
Delicious.
It was yucky. I did not enjoy that.
Yeah, that was unpleasant for sure.
Yeah.
And then he's
That's when
like,
he freaks out.
I can't stay with you. There's nothing I could think of that you and I could do to keep me awake. I need to go see my friend.
yeah.
So he runs to his friend's house, who has like, what is that? It's like he has one of those
Black
winter
leather.
jackets. Oh, black
No,
leather,
the-
yeah.
It's like the comforter underneath. It's like a normal comforter, like downy.
Yeah.
But on the top, it is like black leather.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
whose idea was that?
It's
I would
such a
have
weird-
Looks like he's a
The
garbage bag
director.
for a comforter.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
never in my
we're-
life.
Quick cleanup, man. It's the BDSM stuff going in here. You know,
It must be the production
yeah,
designer threw
the-
that in there.
The German, the German coach who's into Venus and furs, like he gave that comforter to this kid or something
Yeah.
in one of their exchanges.
Perhaps.
Yeah, that made me so uncomfortable though. I could not stand looking at that leather comforter.
No.
Ugh.
I also think it's really funny in this movie. Yeah, well, this guy's bed in particular, not just the comforter, but it's just such a small bed.
True.
He's such
True.
a big person.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so
And
funny
it's why is he not at the party?
because he's grounded.
Yeah,
He said he was
he announces
grounded.
that he's grounded.
Oh, he
'cause-
does?
He announces he's grounded because he shoved his grandma down the stairs.
Which I thought he was joking at
No,
first,
yeah.
and then
Well,
like he
I did
said he
not
was grounded.
catch this.
Yeah,
And when he the scene he does it is crazy too, because The girlfriend, or yeah, I guess they're girlfriends. I don't know. Or the girl, the main girl, is like, I don't know what's going on with Jesse. He won't talk to me. He's being all weird. I want to figure this out with him. And then they go and sit down at the table, and he goes and sits next to his buddy. Jesse does.
Yeah.
What's his name? Ron.
Ron, yeah.
He goes and sits next to Ron, and Ron's got like 6 cartons of milk.
Yeah.
And his mouth is just like extremely full, like he's
Yeah.
doing the marshmallow challenge or something.
Yeah.
And they had to have been cracking up shooting that scene because
It's a pretty funny scene.
the entire scene, his mouth is so full and he's not allowed to swallow. Like he's the whole scene. Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I can't come show my grandma down the stairs.
Oh, so that's where he says it.
Yeah,
at.
that
Yeah,
is.
so he's
That's
very
why I missed it.
yeah. You can't hear him really, and then they carry on that bit to the point when Jesse gets super mad at him and he's like, will you shut up, man? And Ron gets up and he's like, screw you too, and runs away. And it's like at no point, like he's sitting there for 5 minutes and
Yeah.
doesn't swallow at all. He just keeps putting more food into his mouth. It's hilarious.
It's a good scene.
Yeah, yeah,
So he shoved his grandma down the stairs.
yeah.
And
Apparently,
we're worried about Freddy Krueger?
Yeah.
Who shoves their
seriously.
grandma down the stairs?
The real killer's Grady.
yeah, he deserved to die. It's fine that he died.
For
But
real.
then Freddy bursts out of Jesse in a very cool special effect
Yeah,
Yeah.
where he literally like there's a prosthetic and you can see Freddy's eye through his mouth as he's screaming, and he literally bursts out and then he attacks Grady and starts killing him. And then he goes to the pool party and he is just being a little rascal. And
Some
he's
menace.
running around, knocking stuff over,
Well, no, he first shows up.
making the pool hot.
Jesse first shows up just covered in blood.
Yeah. He goes,
Oh,
he,
yes,
fades,
yes.
he fades in and out.
Yeah, so he's just covered in blood and is like, I just killed Ron, and is freaking out. And she's like, just talk to me, tell me what's happening, and he can't and won't. And then I forget how I think then Freddy takes over or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in that scene.
He, well, yeah. In the previous scene, he does the transformation, which I want to go back to the arm transformation because that scene is
Yeah.
super cool. Like he wakes up Ron and is like, Ron, it's happening again. And then
Oh, yeah.
we get like a Wolverine scene where
Yeah.
the claws slowly emerge from his finger, and it's just like, ooh, that's gross. That's pretty good right there. But then it just keeps going. Like they pay so much attention to that arm, and the skin starts to slowly separate, and like it kind of has like a zigzag cut to it, and then it just expands and slowly turns into Freddy's arm, and it's
It's
crazy
very
looking.
cool.
It's crazy
so
looking.
good.
And then after he kills his buddy, and his buddy immediately just goes, oh my gosh, and then runs to the door and starts banging on it. He's like, Dad,
Yeah.
Dad, please save me. And it's just like, this is weird. Like, what is happening here? And the dad eventually shows up, and that's the only time we get to hang out with Ron's parents at all, is they're
Yeah.
just on the opposite side of the door, like going like, what's going on in there? And we never hear from them again.
Nope.
And he just jumps out the window.
Yep.
He kills him, he jumps out the window, he runs into his girlfriend.
He killed his lover.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then,
And then he starts messing around and having fun at the pool party.
yeah,
He
yeah.
makes hot dogs explode.
He does.
He makes beer cans shoot.
He makes the pool really hot.
Yeah, that's the first thing that happens. Is
Yeah.
they're like, "Will somebody please turn down the heat in this pool?"
Yeah.
I feel like they should have gone further with that scene, like, and made them start like melting,
Yeah.
because it was kind of like they're like, "Ooh, it's hot," and then they get out.
I
And
know.
you're
I
like,
thought I
"Oh,
remembered that
okay."
people did die in it, but I guess not.
There were people dying.
People did?
There were
In
a
the
couple
pool?
people that die. Maybe not in the pool. I'm
No,
not
yeah, I
sure.
mean,
I
in
meant
the
the
pool,
pool
yeah.
because I
Oh,
just thought
okay.
I remembered it like getting really hot and people drowning
Yeah,
or something. I don't
and
know.
then Freddy's just like, "Hey, children," and he just starts chopping them up.
the
and it's so fun.
The part when the people are like trying to like stampeding, getting over the fence, and that person gets trampled on. That is like really intense.
It
Yeah.
is.
That was the scene that we both looked at and were like, "Oh man, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the best kill in the movie."
Yeah. Probably.
But no, the best kill is the spank towel kill. Come on,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
even pretend like it's not the best kill.
For sure, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, pool party gone wrong. I mean, they should have named this. They should have named this movie A Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Pool Party.
Yeah,
Definitely. The pool party is
Yeah.
like the moment.
scene.
Yeah, because like you said, what is his revenge in this movie?
you would think with a title Freddy's Revenge that the movie would be about him getting back on the parents or something, like, because it's the
Or getting
parents.
Nancy.
It's the parents
or,
who killed him.
Yeah,
So just going, it's like a 1 by 1 kind of thing.
but his revenge is just random killing
Yeah.
with no purpose behind it.
No, he's just having fun.
That's not revenge.
no.
This movie should be called Freddy's Pool
Unless
Party.
he's like claiming more children.
Yeah, there was no premeditation on Freddy's side. He just
No.
felt like being a little scamp.
Yeah.
I got the brains and you got the body.
Let's make lots of money.
But there's that whole sequence. He attacks Lisa, and he again in the house. He makes sure that he knocks over things before he attacks her.
Yes.
Which I'm always gonna appreciate. And then they like go to the warehouse, right?
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else at Freddy's pool
Well,
party
yeah,
we want to
he
discuss.
escapes.
Yeah, he does.
Like he does this weird.
he walks through the fence and the flame like bursts
Yeah.
in flames.
Which is cool.
yeah.
They all scream like, "Where did he go?"
Yeah.
yeah, and he just disappears. And then Lisa, is that what
Yeah.
you said her name was? She immediately goes, "Oh, I know where he's heading," and
Yeah.
she takes off by herself. Like
Yeah.
she's going there to save him.
And this is kind of cool, flipping it on its head, where she saves the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she definitely does.
The woman saves the
With
day in a
love.
slasher.
Love
Yeah.
prevails.
Oh,
True.
Yeah, more like he was in love with Grady. We all know it.
well,
Okay, yeah.
she
loved him.
Her love, her
yeah,
love. Yes.
she's gonna try to save him. She's gonna make this marriage work.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
We'll only
determined.
find out when he's 80 that he
Yeah.
was dealing with a lot.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So they go to the factory. There's the weird baby dogs that we talked about that don't look good. Weird mutated rat.
Yeah.
And then,
And Cat.
yes. And then they have like their showdown. She kisses him.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like
Gnarly.
that scene. Yeah, she
That'd have
goes
been
in
tough
and
to shoot.
yeah, I wouldn't like even if I know that there's a real person underneath there. It would gross me out to
Yeah.
have to pretend kiss that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it 10 times over having a snake wrapped around me, though, if we're ranking
You'd kiss
things.
Freddy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd kiss Freddy
I
over a
really
snake.
don't like snakes.
I really don't. I am scared of them.
Mm-hmm.
They cause me fear. You remember that
Xenophobia.
that time when there was we were house sitting for my parents, and my dog who lives at my parents, Frodo, he's really good at catching animals and killing them.
Oh gosh.
And he got this snake and he like ripped it apart, because if he gets it, he just tears back and forth so that it flies apart.
And then he presents it to you guys as a gift, right?
No, he just leaves it wherever he's done with it.
We had a dog that, or I guess I didn't. My grandparents had a dog that would like kill the gophers in the area, and then he'd drop them on the porch and be like, "There you go, I knocked that thing out for you." like he was a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Oh,
usually
gosh.
Frodo will just like eat it. He'll just eat the whatever he kills. So he does that, and I'm like, okay, I have to clean this up. It's all over like the cement driveway, and so I take like a shovel and I pick up the snake, and I'm kind of like, it's ripped apart. Like there's no chance of this thing being alive, but I'm just like almost shaking. And at this point, I think in my life, I was like, I don't fear things. I don't have fear, and so. Then I put it in the garbage can, but then the next day I took out the trash and I opened the lid and I knew it was there. And as I was opening it, I was like shaking,
Whoa.
like knowing it was there. And I was like, and my heart was racing and my stomach was dropping. And
Yeah.
I saw it and I like threw it in there. And I was like, oh no, I have a phobia.
Yeah.
I am scared of these things.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. What is that one called?
I don't know what that one's called.
Anacondaphobia.
Let's go with that for right now.
well,
Oh, man.
at least Frodo's an ethical hunter.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's killing for the purpose of a meal, and that's
Yeah.
the way you should do it.
Yes, yes.
He's not leaving the carcasses laying around or like presenting them inside his house. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
We can
he's
give
an
him that.
only outdoor dog, so there's been no problems.
yeah,
Bringing a bloody thing inside the house. But if he gets a skunk, that smell
Oh,
will
yeah.
permeate through the house. And he usually gets several skunks a year.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he does. He often smells of skunk.
Yeah,
That's a bummer.
he's okay with getting sprayed by them. It doesn't bother him. So they'll spray him, and then he'll just grab him and kill him.
Oh man.
So that's
Interesting.
Frodo.
He doesn't sound like he matches up with the personality of his namesake very well.
No,
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
but he is timid around other dogs.
Yeah, Gilmore laid down the law early with them,
Yeah.
with Frodo.
Yeah, so Gilmore rules over Frodo. He's alpha.
Yeah, he is.
Our little capybara friend.
Yeah, he does have a capybara vibe too.
Yeah.
Gilmore.
Big fan of his work.
Yeah, good boy.
He's currently laying on all of the chords.
Yeah.
Great choice.
But yeah, they go there. They fight. Through the power of love, she is able to kill Freddy, and he bursts into flames. And like you said, Jesse pushes back the skin and comes out looking like Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith, or I mean, Return of the Jedi. And
Close one, Micah.
that was close. Mike was about to
At
text
least
me.
he's all charred up. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely feels like the scene where he's coming out of the lava.
Well, that's true. It would work for
Oh.
either movie. Yeah.
You're okay on that one.
And then they hop on the bus and they're like, everything's so fine and so good.
Yeah.
And then who's
But then-
driving?
but then
the bus just
Jesse's
takes
like,
off.
the bus is going too fast. They're like, no, it's fine.
And you find out, oh, he is going crazy. And the bus
Yeah.
driver looks normal.
Mhm.
But then a hand bursts out of her friend.
Yeah.
And then the bus just takes off. And it's kind of a long shot where the bus is just driving really fast in
Through
Joshua
the desert
Tree
again. Yeah.
And the fact that the friends are just like playfully like, oh my gosh, crazy party last night.
know,
Like
yeah.
it wasn't just the most traumatic
The
thing they've
timeline felt weird to me
experienced.
because that scene started with him walking outside with his mom, and he's basically like, "Yay, I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm going to
Yeah.
school. I'm better
he
The
goes-
fact
now."
that they
goes-
all went to school.
Yeah.
like as he's walking,
next
he
day.
pumps his fist to the bus like, guys, I'm back. Woohoo!
But then they're still talking about the party, and it's like, so what? It was just the next day?
Yeah.
Or what, has it been weeks?
It feels like the first movie and the second movie do this where they make it seem like the main character beats Freddy, but
Yeah.
I feel like what they're doing is constantly implying that
Yeah.
they didn't
He's not
actually
dead yet.
win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't, and I feel like they make you know that this is also a dream state
Yeah.
because the people that are dead are back.
yeah.
They don't acknowledge the events that happened.
Yeah.
They're not saying, oh my gosh, that was crazy when I
Yeah.
cut you into pieces and you were dead. Like, no, that didn't happen. We had a fun party. And it's like they do a time jump after they beat the villain. They
Right.
time jump back to a period where everybody was there and good. And then we get to see Freddy win his final time. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, I'm still in
That's a good
control.
point.
They hop in the Freddy mobile and at the end of the first one
Right.
and drive off, and it's just like everybody's good to go. Let's go to school. Oh, what's going on? The car's going crazy.
Right.
Like, so it's interesting. They always say no one actually wins. They
Yeah.
just feel like they win, and then you're back into Freddy's domain.
Then
Yeah.
everyone's got to go to sleep sometime, pretty much.
Well, yeah, I'm curious. So this is Halloween Ends is coming out soon. Well, actually, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be out. And it's just interesting when you're dealing with these characters like Freddy and Michael Myers, where it's like part of the thing is they can't and don't die. No matter
Yeah.
what you do, they always come back.
Yeah.
Because it's a franchise more than anything else.
Mhm.
And so when you finish any one of these movies, it's like, okay, now they stand up. That's like what you always have to do, established in John Carpenter's Halloween. That's what these types of characters do. So I'm curious if there can ever be a Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy is like killed and what that ending would look like, where it's not like actually he's alive though.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think about Halloween Ends where I'm like, I don't know how it's possible that this movie could have a satisfying ending because it has to end with Michael Myers getting away at the end, or it's not satisfying, but then it feels like it's not the ending to anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the weird horror curse of these like slasher archetypal movies. And I don't know how you would write that or fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Freddy is an interesting one too because Michael Myers, we established that he's just an insane person at first.
Yeah.
And, he's unhinged. But as it goes on, he becomes this crazy entity that cannot be
Yeah.
extinguished. And it just feels fine. The only thing that they have to think about is that you can't kill him like shoot him 4 times in the head. It's fine. He's getting up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's his only like superpower. He doesn't travel at extreme speeds. He's not going to appear wherever he wants. Freddy has no rules, and I'm real
Yeah.
interested to see
Yeah.
what's going on. Like, I want to know the lore and how this rule set applies to the universe, because it seems like he can just do whatever he wants. Like in the first movie, they're like, well, if you stop pouring your energy into him, then he can't win.
Yeah.
And, she turns away from him. She turns her back to him. And then he like disappears and falls into the void.
But then he's
And-
back.
Yeah. But then, the very next scene after they win, they hop in the Freddy mobile. And it's just like, so are there any rules? Is he just constantly
Yeah.
playing with his food? Is that this universe is just, it's his world and you're living in it?
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
feel like he can do whatever he wants all the time, where, all the other characters feel like there's something that can be gotten away from.
Yeah.
And that's what's so funny about this Dream character, because you don't get away. You can't do anything. He can do whatever he wants whenever he feels like it. And there are no rules. So it's just, his world is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the only way you could write something different with Freddy would be, if somehow someone like woke up or he woke up and it was like, these movies have been a dream or something, and now we're going
Like
to kill
something
him.
really meta or something.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
They
I
could
don't
do
think
the
that would be
whole like
satisfying.
vampire in the box thing. Like, since he's
Vampire
constantly
in the box. What's oh
like Dracula. Like,
I was
find
thinking
him.
of Schrodinger's cat, and I was like, vampire in the box. Is it alive or is it dead?
Yeah, no. I'm a little bit more straightforward. I'm just saying you find him when he is, he's awake or whatever. You find him in his awake state and you kill
Oh,
him.
yeah.
You find
Oh,
the
that's
vampire.
pretty good,
That could
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And that could be a way to finish it. But it is there's just not a lot tied to what's going on in the universe. So they just get to do whatever they want, which is really good
Yeah.
idea. They don't have to break their own rules ever, because there were never any. Except for in the first movie, but
Right.
we always have to retcon a first movie.
Yeah. Especially because you don't know that it's going to
Exactly.
be successful.
So, but because you guys have seen the 2 newest Halloween movies, correct? Halloween,
I
Halloween Kills.
think
I feel like I only watched the first one.
I may have watched both. Are we ending a quartet with this newest movie or a
This
trilogy?
will be a third one.
A
yeah.
third?
Yeah.
And it's
I'm not sure that I watched the second one.
Yeah.
Is
okay.
Can I
Pretty sure.
ask what happens in the movie at all?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, you guys are
it's-
going to cover the series, so we'll just skip that.
No, well, it would if we do cover it, it'd be a long time from now. But Halloween Kills is the one where there's the one guy from Breakfast Club,
Mhm.
who's one of the
The
stars.
nerd.
Yeah, and they're like they basically there's a big scene where the town like gangs up and tries to beat him up and like beat him to death.
Yeah, no, I think we missed that
Yeah,
one.
I think we stopped after the first one, because the second one was coming out in theaters, and I
Yeah.
prepped with the first one, and we both watched it together. And then Alyssia was like, I'm not in the mood, and so we never watched the second one
Yeah.
in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first one is where Grandma Jamie has the cabin in the woods
Yeah,
with the island that moves, and they've got that underground area. Yeah, so we watched that. We haven't watched the second, so we'll probably do the same thing this year. We'll watch the second one in preparation for the third, and then not go see it. In the theaters.
I just wanted to ask if we want to put it on record, even though it'll already be out. Do you guys think, because this is the end of Halloween, of course it will never end, but will Michael Myers be finitely killed by the end of this movie? Yes or no? What do you think?
No.
No.
Yeah, I think I gotta go. No, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
No.
Because he's not a character where I can even think up a reason why he would die.
Yeah.
I do think that the second movie, because we watched it semi recently,
Yeah.
they did. We haven't even seen all the Halloween movies, but based
It's
on
only the fourth one we've seen. We've
based
seen
on-
Halloween 1, then we saw the new Halloween. We saw Halloween 2, then we saw the new Halloween.
yeah.
So we have to watch Halloween 3 this month before we see Halloween
But
ends.
based on Halloween rules and logic of the invincibility of him,
Yeah.
they pushed it to the limits in a way I didn't think they ever could, in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was great, but
Yeah,
it was also just like insane weird.
Halloween Kills is a movie that like the fan base of Halloween didn't like, and it didn't do like critically it didn't do that well. But we watched it, and I was like, I don't know what you want from these movies if it's not this,
Yeah,
because
that
it's
was
just like
good.
insane blood and gore, and it's just crazy. Like,
Isn't the director pretty interesting? Is it like Gordon Green?
yeah, it's
David
David Gordon
Gordon
Green,
Green.
and
Yeah.
Danny McBride is one of the writers on
Yeah.
these
Oh
movies.
my
gosh.
and-
Because they're buddies. Because he
Yeah.
did.
They do like Righteous Gemstones together.
Yeah, and he's directed a couple of those like Seth Rogen, James
Yeah.
Franco comedies.
Your
Yeah.
Highness.
Like he started off as a very
Indie.
indie, into the Criterion Collection type. Because I think he does what's it
George
called? Yeah,
Washington.
George Washington,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that movie's pretty interesting and cool. But then he went full comedy.
Yeah.
And now he's come back and he's an interesting
It is
director.
interesting.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like him.
Because like Righteous Gemstones is a hilarious show, and then he did Eastbound and Down, which is
Oh.
also hilarious.
It's so funny.
And there's another show, Vice Principals, which I haven't seen, but I've heard is hilarious. But anyway, yeah, Halloween Kills is. It's not The Shining, but I mean it's like I'm not sure why, because it seemed like the reaction to it was like, this is actively bad, and I was like, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Michael Myers is killing a lot of people. That's kind of why I see a Halloween movie.
I think horror is an interesting genre because, well, I think horror and comedy have interesting overlaps
Yeah.
because you can play it one of two ways. Like there's deadpan, and then there's just, Talladega Nights, like extreme, we're going crazy with this. These are just a series of skits that we came up with that we thought would be hilarious.
Right.
And I feel like horror is kind of the same as that, where you just go wacky, bonkers, whatever you feel like doing, or you actually make it horrifying. Like,
Yeah.
like you are not going to be able to sleep at night. And those are the two end goals. And, obviously it varies how well they accomplish that.
Yeah.
It's usually much harder to do the straightforward, like, no, this is going to scare the socks off you.
Yeah.
So I do prefer it when they toe that line of like, is this a horror or is this a fun horror?
Right.
I prefer
Yeah.
fun horror because it lands more often. It's easier to do that.
Yeah.
And being straightforward, like if you're going to scare the pants off me, you better nail it or I'm going to laugh at your movie.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
But I think he will die in the movie, but then there will be something, not his body or something like that, but there'll be something that suggests that, oh, but did he live on? But they'll kind of try and play it both ways. That's what I think.
I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put him in one of those like sliding morgue trays, like those, the metal slide
Yeah.
outs. Slide him into one of those and then just have it rattle a tiny bit at the very end.
Yeah, do a little Inception top kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Does anyone have anything else they want to say about this lovely movie?
Go watch it.
Yeah.
You'll have a good time.
I agree.
Yeah. Even if you listen to everything we said, you still have not
Yeah.
truly enjoyed the experience of this crazy movie.
There are a few like just closing random bits, the behind the scenes stuff that I'm interested in. First of all, I want to ask the Breaking Bad people if they were inspired by the Jesse screams, because in that movie, they're like the dad at one point is just Jesse, and it's just like that's Walter White. That's Walter White.
I have been rewatching Breaking Bad, and I was thinking about it while I was watching
it's
this.
hard not to hear because
Yeah.
it's the gruffness of the way he screams
Yeah.
Jesse. It sounds the same, and I was like, that's funny. And then also, have you guys seen Mortal Kombat? The like
No,
90s,
no.
80s? I think it's early 90s or something. Okay. Have you played the original games at all?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I know what they are.
Yeah,
though.
there's like Raiden, who's like lightning god or whatever in that universe. The way they style the lightning bolts is very specific to the era. I feel like,
Yeah.
and is every time I saw a lightning bolt strike something in this movie, because that happens multiple times.
It
I
does
think we
happen a
skipped.
lot.
I think we skipped over that. But
Yeah.
like, there's a scene where
He's like looking at the dishes, and they strike, and he's just kind of looks to the side,
He's
no
just like,
reaction.
Whoa, that was weird.
Yeah.
And like the toaster at one point,
Yeah.
the toaster, like lightning strikes the toaster. And the dad gets up and is like, "Oh, it's unplugged. That's wacky. What's going on here?" And every time I saw that effect, I just thought of like Raiden silling lightning bolts. Like it looked the exact same. So I always like seeing how stylistically things are portrayed in an era. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is how that thing looks in this 10-year span.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that lightning bolt thing really stuck out to me because I was just like, Freddy Krueger is now Raiden in my mind. That's canon.
Yeah.
Book it. Yeah, that stuff was hilarious, and I think that was about it for me. Just love the effects. Oh, one other thing that this isn't really just a funny add-on like the other two, but I really liked how this movie gave us. We talked about the locations in this
Yeah.
movie and how they highlight the location. This is a place that the people are in, and it's kind of a cool place. In the first movie, it felt like they were, like they're enclosed sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we go to, what is it? They call it like a power plant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Large location, and like a big factory. The first movie, it feels like kind of claustrophobic. Like you're in this place and you're frightened and you're turning
Right.
corners and it's very claustrophobic. In this one, we get the daytime shot where they pull up on the place and it's like, whoa, that's big, that's cool. That's a place that a high schooler would want to explore.
Yeah.
And then we enter and you can feel like it's a place now.
Yeah.
And then as they walk through the hallways, I felt like the way it looked in this movie was way cooler. Even when we do get to the moments where it's nighttime and it's scary and we're crossing all of the off the floor catwalk type areas, I loved that because I felt like that location is like that's a place that's going to reoccur in all of the movies at this point. And I feel like they took an idea of a location and they turned it into a place for me. So I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, I
Like,
see what you mean. Yeah.
there's just a lot of parts of this movie where I feel like they fleshed out the world in a better way than the first one. The first movie to me, it was just kind of like, yeah, there's this really scary guy and his name's Freddy and he's gonna come and get you. And we get a little bit of backstory from the parents, but it's all kind of nebulous. It's there's an idea of who he is, but that's about it.
Right.
This movie, it feels like these are characters, these are plots that are distinct, they're separate from this whole genre. And overall, I feel like it's just much more of its own movie.
Yeah.
And that's why I really love this one. And I would argue that better might not be the right term, but
Hey, you
I
can.
think-
No
I think
one's
it's
gonna.
I think it's a much more interesting movie, and I'd rather watch the second one anytime, not just because I'm laughing at it, but because I like what it tried to do.
Yeah. I do think the second time around, I found less of the performances funny and more like I'm kind of on their wavelength.
Yeah.
Like
no.
even
Yeah.
because I remember thinking the lead was pretty terrible the first time, and this time I was like, I kind of dig what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
it
I
seems,
just needed to see it a second time.
he seems pretty grounded. Like
Yeah.
the character seems pretty grounded. The family seems like a family. Like it kind of has that Donnie Darko at the dinner table with his real life sister, Maggie
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal.
yeah.
And their interactions feel like that's a family. These are people that have been around each other. They've got, inside jokes. They understand each other. So I felt like the dynamic worked pretty well in the family. And
Yeah.
I feel like, the child actor for the girl was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Everybody did a good job. There's a few. All the extras are like kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
The
The-
40-year-old man that's in the pool with the girl.
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah.
That guy's so old.
He's got some Dazed and Confused Matthew McConaughey
Yeah, he
vibes
does.
going
Yeah.
on. And there's also in the cafeteria at one point, it looks like one of the old factory workers that worked with Freddy Krueger is going through the line and getting spaghetti. Like it's pretty funny at the high school.
I missed that one.
There's a few moments in it where it's just like you couldn't try a little bit harder. Like they're
Yeah.
extras. You don't have to have them deliver lines. Just make them look like high schoolers.
Yeah.
That was your one
Yeah.
job.
Bare minimum.
You had one job here.
Yeah.
Make them look like high schoolers in the background, and
Yeah.
you messed that up. You just have all your buddies come on set because they wanted to be in a movie. That was funny to me. But yeah, I like the world a lot. It makes Nightmare on Elm Street a universe very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think I am looking forward to watching the other ones that we've seen already again
Yeah.
to really think about what I like most. So far, I do think that this is my favorite one too,
2 or 3.
as well. The second one is my favorite one.
Oh,
as well
okay.
as yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that Micah was saying that 3 was possibly.
3's the best one of the 5
Three is
we've
good.
watched.
This one's
depends
just
on what you're coming
funny.
for. Yeah.
I love the plot of the third
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And there's some really cool effects in the third one.
yeah.
Like they have some creative usage of the gore
That's true.
rather than just like I punched through a body. It's like, oh my gosh, are they really doing this right
Yeah.
now? That's creative.
Yeah.
So I give it that, but I like the second one more all around because I do feel like the acting is interesting in the third. Then there's
Yeah.
a few things where it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like I've said, because 4 and 5 are not very good movies, but they have cool stuff in them, so I like them, and
Yeah.
that makes them good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to do in a horror series to validate your creation is have a few memorable scenes. Add
Have
to
a
the
few memorable
montage.
kills, I think, is the
Exactly,
key in horror.
yeah. You've got to build up this, horrifying creature. You've got to make him. You've got to add it to, his scrapbook. Like in
Yeah.
the first movie, sure, things happen. We know Freddy Krueger, and Freddy Krueger might be the coolest in the first movie, but those following movies, you have to be able to tie all those kills to that character and say, man, this is stuff that Freddy Krueger, the person, does, not things that happen in Freddy Krueger 3 or Freddy Krueger.
Totally.
Sorry, Nightmare
Yeah.
on Elm Street 3 or Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Totally.
It's got to all feel like his body of work.
Well,
Yeah.
and creative kills like Fear Street series, good series, like it. But you throw someone's head through a bread slicer, I'm gonna always remember that first movie because that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. It's true. Never seen that before.
Had never seen that before.
Yeah. Staple in the genre. If
Yeah.
you're going to do a slasher,
You
you
gotta
can't
do
just
some-
slash.
No.
Like, you got to have somebody really demented coming up with some special stuff for
Yeah.
you.
But we're at the end. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
Plug. No, not really. I don't do much. I go to work. I go to school,
That's great.
I don't know.
Just gotta give you the space, and if you don't want to take it, that's fine.
I deleted all my social media, so I have
Great.
It'll be
nothing.
back.
It will be eventually, but
But you're
For
still on
now.
Letterboxd.
that's
Yeah,
true. We
that's
could
true.
link our letterbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
And-
put them in the description
All right.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Letterboxd rules and they're fun follows.
Yes, yes.
And I just went out of my way on a late night where I was bored. I just decided to take every horror movie that Alyssia and I together have watched over the past 6 years, from the first day of fall through the end of October. So that's the time frame. And I put them all into one giant list, rating them by how well they work as spooky season watches. So not
Whoa.
necessarily the best movies,
Uh-huh.
but how well they work seasonally. And
That's cool.
I was having some fun with it. It's mostly just for me. I don't care if you look at it. I just like to do things like that. But yeah, so I just did that, and so I've decided, there are some bad movies that just work really well in Halloween.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
watched this movie, or if I watched, Nightmare on Elm Street at any time of the year, I would enjoy it. But if I watch it on October 6th and I'm ready, I'm seeing it, the season's changing, I'm way more into it. And I think
Yeah,
sure.
that's just a fun aspect of movies,
Yeah.
is to kind of approach it like, you're role playing with the movie. Like this is the experience I'm about to have in the world. I live in the world of Halloween right now, and those are the movies I'm gonna watch.
Great. That's
All right.
awesome.
Well, I will just say that next week we have to go back to the theaters because we're seeing Black Adam for the podcast.
It comes out this soon.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't
So-
sound excited, Jordan.
No, I'm not looking forward to
So
that
get
movie.
ready to watch Black Adam, and then also my album as of today, it'll be 2 weeks away, which means there's pre-orders, which means there's T-shirts, which means there's posters, there's postcards, there's house shows. You can pay to be on the show, even this show.
I've been seeing the single releases.
Single, and I'm doing vinyls for the singles, and they're kind of expensive, but I'm not making any money from them. Trust me. So you can buy a vinyl, which will have Ghosts in My House, Millions, Billions, Trillions, Zillions, and As the Deer Panteth for the Water. It's like $15, but
Are they
first vinyl? So
Are they 45s?
7,
You said they're
7-inch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So all that stuff's available, and it's linked in this episode. Check it out, and come to the release show, November 4th, at
Be
Eden
there.
Ballroom. Adios, folks.
Bye.
1, 2, a spooky podcast for you. 3, 4, lots of blood and gore. 5, 6, Freddy's goofy tricks. 7, 8, another deadly fate. 9, 10, never podcast again.